It is 6 o'clock. Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer. The Kansas City Chiefs traded six-time Pro Bowl wide receiver Tyreek Hill to the Miami Dolphins for 5 picks. Check this out. First rounder this year, the 29th overall pick. Second round pick, the 50th overall, and a 4th round pick plus 4th and 6th round picks in the 2023 draft. The Dolphins are also giving Hill a 4-year, $120 million extension, including just over $72 million guaranteed, also including over $52.5 million at signing. The deal makes Hill the highest-paid wide receiver in NFL history. Tennessee Titans agreed to terms on 1-year contracts with special teamer and linebacker Hollywood Dylan Cole, and also our personal friend, special teamer linebacker Ola Adeni. Titans have converted nearly $11 million of all-pro safety Kevin Byard's base salary into a signing bonus. That creates almost $9 million in cap space. College basketball last night, Middle Tennessee lost to UNC Wilmington 96-90 in double overtime in the championship round of the CBI. Blue Raiders, their season ends with a 26-11 record, a 21-game increase in victories from the previous season. NBA, Grizzlies 132, Nets 120, despite Ja Morant being out for the Grizz and Kyrie Irving scoring 43 points for the Nets. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5, The Zone.
What's happening? Welcome in. JMart and Ramon here on this Thursday. 104.5 The Zone, of course. Ramon Foster and Jonathan Schaefer joining me. I'm Jason Martin for the next 4 hours. All Four Seasons Garage Doors making it possible. And Tyreek Hill got traded.
For the house?
Dolphins, for a couple of wide receivers, or what turned out to be, have given up a haul. No question about that. But this thing escalated quickly. Right after the show, we found out about it. 2 hours before, less than 2 hours later, it's done. And he's out. And so now we have to talk about all of the ramifications of that. Plus the Sweet 16 begin tonight.
Yeah. Oh, it kicks off tonight, too? And the women's is Saturday, I think, right? Yeah, I think, it kick up this weekend. Kick off this weekend.
Yeah, always Thursday and Friday for the Sweet 16, Elite 8, Saturday, Sunday for the guys. Brian Rice from Sports Animal in Knoxville join us next hour. Jim Wyatt, talk about Robert Woods' introductory press conference with him later on in the show. Coach Mack as well.
Yes! Mack attack.
The Tyreek Hill thing was even more baffling to me than Devontae, because at least Devontae, you had rumblings he wasn't going to play on the tag and all this. I didn't know there was anything out there about Tyreek Hill. I mean, I knew eventually he was going to want to get paid, but I didn't realize that it had become that imminent. And it feels like, to me, it became imminent the second he saw Devontae Adams get paid.
Yeah. When did Devontae's deal go through? Do you remember what
Friday?
day?
It was Thursday when Kentucky lost is when you found out about the about the move.
Because they took, we were talking NFL taking over the headlines no matter what. What day was that? Golly, I'm looking up exactly. Was it like the 18th, 17th last week or something like that?
Yeah.
Well, of course, Twitter does this thing. Tyreek.
Been the 17th.
The 17th. Well, the internet does its thing when it comes down to researching, right? So there was a tweet out there March 12th, I think the weekend before free agency kicked off, that said, we've grown a lot together. Kansas City, it's been real, or something like that. So he probably got understanding that he wanted a deal before free agency kicked off, and lo and behold, he's probably been working this deal for over a week now, trying to find a team, because it was between Jets and Dolphins. Okay.
It was interesting how many teams weren't part of this. Like, you would have thought Green Bay would have been part of it.
I know.
for sure, but they really weren't. It was Jets-Dolphins, and the Jets didn't offer a first round. They offered multiple picks that were equal in compensation, according to Kansas City. If you wanted him, you probably were going to give up a one, but at the same time, Tyreek's the one who was going to make the decision. And he picked Miami with no tax.
Yeah, that's where I was going.
And he picked Miami over New York. And
wouldn't you?
Oh, man. I think the larger point, the one topic I want to save for a little bit later on about this, but they're 68-23 with him on the field, 4-2 without him.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't played a whole lot without him.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing that I did happen to notice yesterday, Travis Kelce's stats really began when Hill arrived.
When Hill got really?
Because he attracted so much attention that Travis Kelce saw a lot of one-on-ones.
And
he saw a lot more space. Now that he's gone, you know for sure who the top guy is in Kansas City right now. Now, they're going to go draft somebody. I think they've got 2 picks in all 4 first round. First, second, third, fourth round.
Yeah, they got 29th and 30th picked in the first round.
Yeah, they're gonna take a receiver. I've heard about Jameson Williams. I also heard they really like Burks out of Arkansas. Sorry, Rhett, because I know Rhett's a big fan of his. So am I.
Who's that? That's who
Burks out of Arkansas. They're looking at him as well. They're looking at Jameson Williams. They're looking at all these guys. It's a deep wide receiver draft. I think they're going to probably draft a couple, but they want Hardman to become Hill. And as I was telling you before we came on, I don't buy that just because I've seen Hardman make too many boneheaded plays. Like on the field, he does things that worry you to death. Tyreek Hill might act like an idiot in the end zone sometimes, or on the field, he had drops early in his career, but they were starting to go away. You got to hope that Hardman has that in him, and I have yet to see it.
Yeah.
They already lost Byron Pringle, and now Juju gets another opportunity to be a one.
Really step up.
And I don't know if he's a one.
And you know what? They're going to go get a guy. But see, them having 2 first-rounders moving up.
They're going to get somebody.
You know what I'm saying? Or at least trading one of those off to move up to where you give somebody else another first-round draft pick, considering some teams are honestly going to probably they be better moving back, right? We've kind of had that conversation a little bit that some teams will want to move back in order to just get the plethora of just talent in the later round, second, third rounders too. So they could move up with those 2 draft picks and all of the capital that they have moving forward. Like you said, having Juju there, I almost kind of look at the job that Juju has done for when I played with him versus, what Tyreek Hill did for that Kansas City offense doesn't line up. So there's another guy to be gotten that's probably a quick, shifty type of dude. Tyreek is dynamic. Again, I'm going to go back to the idea that a first for a wide receiver who's already 4 years in and 4 or 5 years in and looking for a new contract, I just didn't see that being the case. To your point about what's going to happen to Kelce, the double team is going to be a whole lot more just than they have been. Or shutting him down defensively is going to be, I don't want to say easier, but Tyreek is a headache. I've seen him and how we tried to break him down when we played against him. It was like, man, just get to him if you can.
Well, yeah, the one thing I always heard about what made the Chiefs so difficult to defend was because it wasn't that you couldn't stay with him for 2 seconds. It's that because of the speed, you had to stay with him for 8 to 10, and Mahomes is just standing back there waiting for him to break open, and he would break open because he was that guy, and Kelce was crafty enough to find a way to get open. That was sort of the offense. And perhaps they can still do it because when Tyreek came out, I don't think anybody thought he would be Tyreek.
No.
The Tyreek that he's been. Almost most of the people who get drafted, a lot of them end up overperforming what you would anticipate them doing, but it takes time. Mahomes has the time.
Yes.
Whereas in Green Bay, they don't really have the time. Aaron Rodgers signed. I still think he's playing 2 years.
Aaron Rodgers, just 2 of this.
I think he's playing 2.
He'd probably make him pay him $60 million a year.
If he's paying him 2, is he going to find the chemistry that he had with Adams over 2 seasons? I doubt it. It takes a lot of time to develop between a quarterback and a wide receiver.
That division, the NFC North, it'll probably end up being between Green Bay and friggin' Minnesota at this point.
Probably.
And it might be closer than it ever has been in years past because, again, they lost some defensive players in Green Bay. Speaking of, why they should have went after Tyreek. And I do think Kirk Cousins serviceable enough, and he's got enough weapons offensively that they can win some games. And all it takes is just to be the number one in your division. I'm with you, very shocked that Tyreek wasn't in Green Bay. But again, Jay, for a guy that's got the ring, Tyreek's already had one bag. And we're talking about going to play Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay where it gets very cold, or you finally get to go home to Miami. Me personally, after getting a ring, man, I'd have loved to have come home and play somewhere. You know what I'm saying? And Tyreek gets an opportunity to get that on top of maximizing the amount of money that he is about to put in his actual pockets. Like, that plays a huge part in it, too. I honestly do think this deal for him was more about the money.
Because yeah, for sure it was.
Look at this. I mean, his quarterback. Of course, everybody was dogging Tua. Tua actually does have a good completion percentage. But trending last night on Twitter was, he has Waddle and he has Tyreek, but he's going to overthrow him by 30. Like, that's the ongoing joke right there when it comes down to him. And they also have Gesicki. They really have a very generic brand Kansas City offense. If Tua can get it together in Miami.
And if he can't, then Teddy Bridgewater's the backup.
Yeah, but you'd much rather have a more athletic quarterback right there as far as Tua goes, right?
Yeah,
and
I'm just saying I could easily see a scenario where Bridgewater plays a decent amount because Tua's hurt or because it doesn't work. Yeah,
100%. But if the head coach for the Dolphins, McDaniel, If he can install a little bit of that Shanahan-type offense where he gets those guys just moving and get very creative, and he's got the parts to actually do this, like Miami could, with Tyreek, they could be a contender.
They could be. Yeah, they could be.
Now, again, Bills are the strongest in their division. Are they not? But I'm looking at it now like Miami's knocking on the door to try to say, hey, we want to party with the rest of the AFC too. Very aggressive moves. Again, my biggest point was I was shocked. And somebody just, if you want to bring me back home with this, Jay, as far as saying, no, I'm on Tyreek deserved a first-round draft pick, then let me know because I don't know if I've ever seen a first-round given up to a receiver in his second trade. You know what I'm saying?
If I can be serious for a minute.
I think that trade was wretched.
You think it was wretched?
I think it was a horrible trade.
It wasn't good for Tyreek's football future.
I think it was a horribly desperate deal by a general manager who's now created a conceit to where, well, I got him the guys.
Yep.
So if they win, great. And if they don't,
it's Tua's fault.
Then it's Tua's fault.
God,
and then it's my fault because he'll be the next one to go.
And when I look at that draft capital they gave up for that, and I've got no problem with Tyreek getting paid. Good for him. Get as much as you can. Drew Rosenhaus, good on you.
It's Drew? Yeah, he is a Drew guy.
It's Drew.
Okay. I think what they gave up, and he's a great player, don't get me wrong, but the amount of what they gave up, both in terms of capital and money, I think it's a terrible deal.
Again, Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill.
With Gesicki.
This is what they gave up. They gave
okay,
up
go ahead.
to go get Waddle in the draft, and now what they've given up with Tyreek Hill. 2021 fourth rounder, 2 2022 first rounders, a 2022 second rounder, a 2022 fourth rounder, a 2023 fourth rounder, a 2023 sixth rounder. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 draft picks.
Wow.
For those two wide receivers.
Hey, I know super aggressive moves are the in thing now in the NFL. Bunch of y'all are getting your asses fired in about 2 years.
It's gotten aggressive, and
because
now it's
there's
we got to do it too.
7 spots.
Yeah, that's right.
There's only 7 spots. Are y'all going to make it?
That's right. And again, if you don't have a quarterback, this Tyreek Hill is a luxury player.
Yeah.
Quarterback's a necessity. I don't care how great your stereo is if your car sucks, if it can't drive, if it's not flashy enough for what you're trying. Like, you can have the best stereo in the world, but if it's inside a 83 Tercel,
84 box Chevy.
Yeah, like good luck.
Right.
Good luck. And I'm not necessarily calling Tua an 83 Tercel. Tercels last a lot longer.
All right.
615-737-1045 is the telephone number. 737-1045. When you heard about this yesterday, your reaction was blank. We'll continue to talk about it from a lot of different angles. Plus, Robert Woods sounded like a guy you should be very happy to have in this city yesterday. We'll play some of the cuts from his introductory press conference with the media. It's JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone.
As leaders in disaster cleanup and restoration, the pros at ServPro are prepared for anything. Like when the relief valve on your water heater fails, pouring gallons of water into your finished basement. Those hardwood floors, yeah, they're really torn up right now. But guess what? ServPro is prepared for that. Or when the electrical shortage in your office causes extensive smoke and water damage, ServPro is prepared for it. Or a musty odor indicates you might have a mold problem. Guess what? ServPro is prepared for that too. And you need a lot more than just help cleaning up. That's why ServPro is your one-stop shop when disaster strikes. Not only do they have the equipment and expertise to clean up damage from fire, water, or mold, but they also offer a variety of construction services ranging from drywall patching and document drying all the way to complete structure rebuilds. There's just one call you need to make to bring your home or business back as good as new. And guess what? As soon as possible. If you're in need of cleanup from fire, water, or any other unpleasant event, ServPro is always ready to help. Call ServPro and the official downtown Nashville operators at 800-SERVPRO to see how we can help you get back to like it never even happened. The number is 800-SERVPRO. ServPro, cleaning, restoration, construction, and franchises are independently owned and operated.
And the Purdue Boilermakers have knocked off the Tennessee Volunteers in overtime at the Music City Bowl.
I'm proud of these guys, man. I really am. Disappointed in tonight. The journey is way more important than the destination in some respects. But, man, this journey's been awesome with these guys.
The journey. It starts with the vision.
I'm here because we have the opportunity to go chase championships on the football field.
A plan to change everything you've ever known about hard work, drive, dedication, and then take it to the next level. It's not easy.
Go!
You will fail, but failure is not the end. It is a chance to grow.
Every little thing matters.
And if you embrace the journey, after all the pain, all the trials, all the setbacks, you reach your destination. But guess what? It's not over. Instead, a new journey begins. Go Vols. If you hadn't seen the video, it's on Vol Football on Twitter, man. They asked me to be a part of this new series they got going on as far as narrating it called The Juice, man. And truth be told, y'all know I'm a Tennessee Vol through and through, and I was just like, of course I would do that. I actually felt very honored. I get shocked when given these opportunities to do stuff like this because I'm just a kid from Tennessee who just enjoyed playing at my school, and that opportunity was really, really cool, man. So appreciate that. Thanks to the VFL Films in Knoxville, man, and everybody who's helped out with the process of doing this, man. It's been pretty cool. But the video is pretty good. Mind you, you can never do anything good when you got just guys as friends that never want to see the world do good, okay? I get text last night calling me Ramon Freeman from my brothers, man. Me and Nardo, we got the same last name. Renardo Foster, Ramon Foster. And I'm in a group with Ron Slade. Yeah, that guy's my brother, and Josh Bay. And let me tell you this, my brother-in-law Josh and Nardo and Ron, never do anything good in your life, okay? The one moment you do, you get clowned. Jay has become a part of that group. Shave has become a part of that group. I keep asking myself, do I need new people in my life? Because the sunshine that really just flickers off of me some days is really just a mirror from the sun burning my flesh.
Yeah.
That's all it is. I'm like, my older brother Nardo calls me Ramorgan Freeman. Like, how do you even think of this, Nardo? Ramon Freeman? I'm like, dog, I am y'all brother, and y'all choose to see. Don't be the little brother. That's all it is for me. Ramorgan Freeman was the worst one I heard. I'm like, Nardo. And they think he's the quiet, nice one. No, that guy, he's just a tool like the rest of them.
Ramon, can you do me a favor?
What?
Say Andy Dufresne.
Andy.
Nice.
Oh, you lucky. This is a family network, man.
Zay Wataneo.
Andy Dufresne.
Andy Dufresne.
Ramorgan Freeman, man. But I was truly honored to do that narrating for the this new episode they have called The Juice. So, all right, here we go. Let's do the show now.
And see my friend, Andy Dufresne.
Andy Dufresne. You want to hear what's crazy behind that? So on my 10-year-old son's baseball team, the Canes, there's his dad that's on the squad, man, and I'm an encouraging dad at baseball games and stuff like that. I'm always, all right, let's go, Miles. Let's go, RJ. And this one dad in particular goes up to my wife and he's like, man, I wish Ramon was my dad so he could speak to me like that also. I was like, what? He was like, the baritone of his voice is just so soothing. I'd hit a home run too. And I'm like, dog, I'm just coaching my kid up to tell him do good. He's like, but it's so soothing. And I'm like, I'm done with y'all, okay? Be better, people.
Eric in Nashville. Eric, what's going on?
Jay hates it. Jay hates it, Eric. Good morning, Eric.
No, wait a second. Wait a second. Moan. How in the
Come on. Come on.
How in the Udonis Haslam do you expect me to segue out of that?
No.
There's no way to segue out of that.
Eric,
What do you want from me?
You don't bring on Eric right there. He was like, you just like, all right, Eric, go, cut him off.
I know Eric can handle it.
I just want to see my friend.
Yeah.
You turned me off by getting by doing all this stuff. You'd be laughing at the first thing you came out to.
Eric, go ahead, Eric. We appreciate you segueing us here.
Hey, guys, listen. About some other things, you of course talk about the fact that the Dolphins had a transfer buy for us to get Deshaun Watson. Of course, remember, they had the chance to draft Justin Herbert. And also, of course, there were reports that Miami wanted to trade out of the pick and go to number one and get Joe Burrow. And since I said, nah, I'm going to reports of that. So, I tell you what, guys. I think Tyreek Hill, his career went to Miami to die. That's just my personal opinion, guys. He is definitely not going to put up the numbers. I strongly believe that, like he did Kansas City. I heard a report yesterday that said Patrick Mahomes, of course, threw 179 touchdowns, and Tyreek Hill was on the field for like 82% of those plays. I'm telling you what, if I'm Tyreek Hill, unless you're going to somebody like Aaron Rodgers or Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, one of those quarterbacks, Matthew Stafford, I definitely do not leave. You're going from Patrick Mahomes to Tua Tagovailoa. Both pounds to forget that money, but I just do not see it. I think with the AFC, of course, is loaded now. I still don't think Miami's going to make the playoffs. I could be wrong with the way the AFC is, because I think the only division that may get more one playoff team are the North and the West. I don't think the West is going to get all four, but I think they could get three guys. And as far as the move for Kansas City, I'm still not going to count out the Chiefs. There's a lot of people now saying that they think with this move, they probably won't win the division now. And that's probably Bart Scott was doubling down on that. He was saying that before the trade. Now he's definitely going to believe without Tyreek Hill, they won't make the playoffs. We'll see. I'm not going to count out Andy Reid or Mahomes, but it's just getting more interesting and more interesting with this arms race.
Yeah.
Not everybody's going to make it, and like you said, I definitely believe some people are probably heads going to roll and could lose some jobs, because not all these trades are going to work out, guys. Y'all take care, and we'll talk again soon.
And no question about that.
Yeah, that's a great friggin' point, Jay. So it's two things, because I know you have something behind this too, and according to what Eric said though too. So what happens though, Jay, listeners, if they do underperform? They just run through a gauntlet of teams or a stretch of Miami losing 7 games in a row again.
So here's your hope if you're Miami. What happened year 3 for Josh Allen?
Year 3 for Josh Allen, he got paid?
No, he was good.
Oh, well, yeah.
That wasn't last season. It was the season before.
Okay.
First 2, you weren't sure, right?
Right.
Third season, what did they do?
Yep.
What did they do before the third season?
What was it? He went and got a coach?
Stephon Diggs.
He got Diggs, and he also ended up doing
They brought in Beasley,
yes.
but the key move was Stephon Diggs.
Yep.
We're going to give you a weapon. Now go do it.
Now go do it.
And he did.
Mm-hmm.
If you're Miami, that's what you're hoping. You've already got Waddle.
This is 3 for him.
Now we're giving you 2 cheat codes at wide receiver in terms of speed. It's on you. There is no one now, potentially, with more pressure on them at the quarterback position in the NFL this coming year than Tua.
So I throw Derek Carr in there a little bit.
Carr, yeah.
Yeah, just because he's up against a contract, too.
I would agree. I would just say that Carr has already accomplished more.
That's true.
Tua, it's very much, you either get it done this year or there may not be a starting job for you in this league going forward. Like Derek Carr, if it didn't pan out great, somebody's going to sign Derek Carr.
Right, no doubt.
Not that no one would sign Tua, but Tua becomes Teddy Bridgewater. He becomes Ryan Fitzpatrick. He becomes one of those kind of guys.
The new era of experimenting young guys is what he turns into. Basically what Baker's about to turn into right now. There's a few guys that's been drafted early. Now you're like, okay, well, he doesn't work out. He'll be a backup for the rest of his career.
Right.
Like, that's what he's – and see, the difference is with me and Tua and, you know, me throwing Carr out there was this. Like, can Tua actually handle this as far as making it happen? Like, how much did he start at Alabama? 1 year? And then he gets drafted top 5 as far as the NFL draft goes. And from there – he doesn't do well his first year. Second year, didn't he get injured again? And he's splitting time with Ryan Fitzpatrick, was basically his team. Josh Allen never went through that. Patrick Mahomes never went through that. Lamar Jackson never went through those things. Hell, not even Baker went through those things. So as far as you're saying the pressure on him, I don't know if he's equipped enough to do that. Like, who were we listening to yesterday when we were talking? I think we ended up getting a caller about when we were speaking about the quarterbacks. He was like, man, we got a bunch of Alabama fans that usually think that you can just plug and play and win, and that ain't the NFL. And we're speaking about quarterbacks, and Tua was a plug-and-play guy that, who was it in the national championship game, hadn't scouted for. You remember when he came in, it was like, well, what the hell is he supposed to be doing? And nobody had scouted Tua in those moments when Jalen Hurts got benched, and you didn't know what to get from him. Now the NFL has the ability to break him down, figure out what's his strengths and weaknesses, and I don't know if he's had enough playing time, enough starts, enough field time to actually see and break down how to use Tyreek, Gesicki, and also be able to scramble and make plays in the pocket. Like, there's a lot that goes on when it comes to what – you're right, Jay, what's in front of him to be the guy.
So what happened at Alabama was he had arguably the greatest receiving core in the history of the NFL playing with him. So did Mac Jones, just to put it there. They both had just murderer's row at wide receiver. No one in college could keep up with them consistently.
Right.
What was the Fitzpatrick story in Miami? Hey, man, if you're waiting for these kids to get Alabama open, that doesn't happen in the NFL.
No.
You have to throw them open, or you have to throw while they're not open, anticipating the move that they're going to make to be open by the time the football is within reach.
That's one thing we talk about when the difference between college and NFL. Like, I can look at somebody's feet, Jay, and be like, yeah, he's about to do this. College, you're not granted that because, one, you got school. One, you're going against freshmen sometime, or sophomores that truly don't understand the game. Not everybody's Will Anderson at Alabama. You know what I'm saying? So to your point, the mental side of what he's got going on, if that doesn't get better, because Ryan Fitzpatrick broke him down pretty much.
Right.
And that in itself is more telling unless Coach McDaniels can make it happen for him.
And all indicators are that dude's a genius, and he is very similar to Shanahan in that I've heard Shanahan described this way. Shanahan told McDaniel, because McDaniel told The Athletic this. He said, the reason it works for Shanahan is that Shanahan told us really early on, I never played football, so I've got to make sure that everybody that plays for me understands that my goal is to simplify everything for them individually to make them more comfortable. He's like, I am smart enough at this that I'm going to make your job easier.
Wow.
And he makes them all buy into that idea. It's like, I'm going to put you in spots where you succeed. I know I didn't play. I know that's a knock against me in your head. My job is to make yours easier. And he says he believes the same thing. He is a very smart offensive mind. He's going to need to be, because Tua has accuracy issues and he has throwing platform issues. That said, he did start to show a few signs down the stretch last year.
Yeah.
He was playing better football towards the end of year 2. Same thing Josh Allen did towards the end of year 2. Again, it's not a one-to-one comparison. But if you aren't it by year 3 in this NFL,
you gone.
There are very few opportunities for the Ryan Tannehill-like second act, it feels like, in this league. And for Tua, injuries are another concern.
Mm-hmm. It is. You're so right about the coaches, though, because, I played for an offensive coordinator who never played football either. And truth be told, when he walked in a room, the first question that comes up, man, he ain't never played no football. Y'all think he can call this? And then he's got to earn your respect. And don't let a guy like that who hasn't played the game be disrespectful or have a stretch of bad calls or bad games, Jay. Like, that pressure right there becomes very, very strong, man. So that's interesting that Shanahan can actually say something like that, man. But when it comes to watching Tua, does he have the tools, Jay? I think so. Does he have the arm? Yeah. That ability to see beyond the line of scrimmage, though, Coach McDaniels in Miami is going to have to be very creative on how they do this offense. One thing he does have, which doesn't really benefit him a whole lot because he's a lefty, Teron Armstead just went there also as a left tackle.
Oh, I mean, That's the thing. They got him weapons, and they built the offensive line around him.
They did.
They're doing everything so that the spotlight's on Tua. The spotlight is on him. Hey, we're getting you Armstead. He was the best free agent in the class. You didn't even know this, but we just got you Tyreek Hill. Do what Mahomes did with him. You already have Jalen Waddle.
Wow.
Like, you have Gesicki. We franchise tagged him, made sure we brought him back. And here's Raheem Mostert on top of it.
Yeah, forgot about that. And then when it got
Cedric Wilson, another fast guy.
Yep.
All these dudes are fast guys. Like, Miami's offense, if it were to click, is scary.
Yeah.
Because of that speed.
Mm-hmm.
But the question is at the one spot you don't want the question to be. It's at the quarterback spot.
It's at the quarterback spot. Again, the arms race in the AFC, man, is strong. 7 teams. I love to parse through and just say yes to this team, no to that team. But Red made a great point yesterday. It's like the season's got to be played out, and that's
for sure.
so true.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to crown like 3 or 4 of them. But looking at Kansas City's situation right now, like, what if they don't get the guy that they really want in the draft? Then what are we going to say about, what Patrick Mahomes can do? This is a real big test for him,
Well,
too.
it does feel like Kansas City took a step back.
I think so.
For now. For now. We'll see what happens after this. This year, Chargers and Broncos probably biggest benefactors of what happened yesterday.
Yeah.
Because they were already most people had them in the top 5 in the AFC, 3 to 5, somewhere in that range. The division became more wide open there. And that's not even thinking about the Raiders. Like, literally everybody in the West is in play. Miami's certainly now in play.
If Kansas City was 1, everybody else, like you said, is walking up the stairs right now.
In the division, yeah.
Division.
I think the general consensus is Buffalo is the best team in the AFC from a roster standpoint, top to bottom. It's hard to deny that.
They made a lot of defensive moves this offseason, too.
They did.
Naquan's there, by the way, if y'all didn't know that, Titans fan.
Daquan.
Yeah,
Naquan's here.
Naquan's here. Daquan is in Buffalo now. He keeps getting deals, man. Shout out to him.
They're on paper, they should be the best team in AFC. Now, we'll see because they lost their OC. Their OC went to be the head coach of the Giants. Is Ken Dorsey going to be able to run that offense to the same degree? We're going to find out.
You like Ken Dorsey or have liked some of the stuff he's done?
He's worked with Allen for the last 2 years.
That's all that mattered then, right?
As long as they love each other, which apparently they do,
yeah,
I like the chances that it will work.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the AFC, I don't even understand. And when this move, I was just like, NFL, seriously. Can you back off for 5 seconds? And the answer is no, it isn't. No, we can't. 615-737-1045 is the telephone number. Your reaction to the Tyreek Hill move, how shocked were you? We're going to get into one piece of this, but we're going to wait a little bit later on in the show to do it. We're going to talk about Robert Woods as well.
His intro yesterday, man.
I would just tell you this.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier for me to pay Robert Woods than it is Tyreek Hill.
Preach, man.
It just is. And it has nothing to do with what you're doing on the football field. I feel like character matters. And I think the Titans knocked one out of the park when it comes to Robert Woods. And he's exactly the kind of guy that you should want next to AJ as AJ continues to grow. And he's the kind of leader that hopefully can help stabilize your quarterback in any moments where there's possible flapping going on. 615-737-1045. JMart and Ramon, 1045 The Zone. Hey, if you're at home and you're noticing things like cracks in your bricks, or your steps sinking, or a bowing basement wall, or doors and windows sticking, all these things, it's possible they're not as serious as you think they are, but what if they are, and you're just letting them fester and get worse? By worse, I mean more expensive to the value of your home, as well as just immediately to your pocketbook if you try to get them fixed. You need to look at these. These are foundation issues, and you need to have somebody come out that you can trust to tell you what's actually happening and only ask you to pay for what needs to be done. And it's United Structural Systems. They've been in Middle Tennessee for over a quarter of a century. Integrity and reputation off the charts. A+ rating with a Better Business Bureau. You know this. I tell you this every day. They're locally owned. They're not a franchise. This is the only place that you should go when it comes to your foundation concerns. They come out, they tell you what's up. And sometimes they're going to say, hey, right now, this isn't that big of a deal. It's not what you think it is. We don't necessarily need to do anything right now. We'll keep an eye on it just to make sure. But here's the story. How much is that worth to you? Just the possibility they're going to come out and tell you, yeah, it's good. It's all right. No big deal. We can get that taken care of. That's cosmetic. That's huge. So they'll tell you what's going on. They give you a free estimate. So you're going to know what's up before you have to make a decision. Then you don't have to pay a dime until the work's done. That's why over 22,000 people will tell you United Structural Systems should be the only one you consider when it comes to foundation repair. It's all I'm going to consider. 615-227-2275. That's 227-2275 or online at ussTN.com. United Structural Systems.
soon as that national anthem is finished, Bobby Trees come out, turn to a whole different person.
That was Bobby Trees, Robert Woods yesterday. So he talked to the media, and I think the only way to describe it is he said everything right. He sounds like the teammate that you want. And this is actually, I think, very apt for him. Based on what I heard about Saffold when he left the Rams, I remember reading Lindsay Theory, who covers the Rams for ESPN, who I had talked to a couple of times on Fox, and she had said really nice things about Roger. Then I asked Jeff Schwartz, our guy, about Roger, and he goes, they didn't want to lose Roger. Roger's a leader in that locker room. Everybody loved him. I think Bobby Trees is Roger Saffold as a wide receiver.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, good on you, John Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
I was listening to a lot of people yesterday in Jets land saying they were wondering why the Jets didn't make a bigger play for Robert Woods and all this, because they were trying this Tyreek Hill thing out. They were trying to make this work, ended up not getting that, also not getting Bobby Trees or some of these other guys. What I said before the break, Moan, it's really easy for me to pay a guy like Robert Woods.
Yep.
And I don't want to judge performers. I want to judge performances. But I also think that we're not doing our jobs not to suggest that Tyreek Hill has some red flags.
Has some personal stuff come up.
He's got some stuff that's more than mildly problematic.
Yep.
And the quote that I sent you guys yesterday in a text message was from the Cardinals general manager. And it was said a few years ago. It wasn't about this specifically or whatever. And it said if Hannibal Lecter ran a 4.340, we would just classify it as an eating disorder. Meaning, if you're good enough, it doesn't matter what you do. You can figuratively, maybe even literally, get away with murder.
Yeah. Talent, Jay, excuses a lot. Not just in the NFL, dog. You know how many guys I've seen push through in high school?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You know how many dudes I know in college that probably may have did only 10% of their work, but they were very talented, Jay. You know how many dudes I've seen in the NFL that deserve to have been cut, but he's got some value that's hard to replace. If you're a talented person, people will make excuses for you. And I don't even care if you're a surgeon, they're going to make an excuse for you. You may have been somebody that's killed off 5 people as a doctor. Guess what? They'll still make an excuse for you if you're good enough or you know the right people too. Like, there's a lot of things that happen in this world. Just like, man, if you're talented enough, smart enough, witty enough, you can get away with it. And the NFL is the leading endorser of that. And you know what? Fair or not fair, it's a sport, it's a game. The people who consume it just want the product at the end of the day. How many people rejoiced when Tyreek Hill went there? Tons of people did. There's jerseys probably already being ordered. But to your point about having a guy that helps build up a team in the right way, like Robert Woods, man. I know somebody knows him personally was like, that's my guy. Like, he's a solid dude. And hearing him talk yesterday, like Ron put him in the boom room yesterday, and he was just asking him hot chicken or what did he ask him? Something else. He was just like, man, you got to be a person that embraces the culture. That was the first thing he said. He was like, man, I got to do what the culture says in Nashville. And I was just like, the guy gets it. Mm-hmm. And just hearing him talking and hearing him break down, honestly, in his presser yesterday on why Tennessee, having the ability to do his research and having Sean McVay say a whole bunch of stuff about it. Let me tell you this about the NFL. You build relationships sometime, but it's usually like looked over and just like really crapped upon. You're in and out of the building so much, and the turnover of teams, and you really don't have the ability most times to formulate just friendships and just impact people. The way Sean McVay, the way Cooper Kupp, the way all these other guys have spoken about Robert Woods let you know, Tennessee Titans, I feel like he himself is going to make this team a better team. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was really refreshing to hear a guy who's a wide receiver, just won a Super Bowl, and he played a major part in that also. Even if he didn't finish out the rest of the season. But to hear them speak that highly of a guy like that almost is like, well, if he don't work out in Tennessee, we're going to come back and get you.
Here is Robert Woods talking about the Tennessee Titans yesterday as part of his media availability.
you want to be in an organization who's obviously kind of like solidified, solid, not much movement around. This team has been in the playoffs, been consistent for many years. So I wanted to join something that was firm and solid and be able to add my game to it. And obviously, you want to be a part of a winning culture. You want to be a part with guys who try hard and bust their butt for their teammates. Talked to Roger Saffold as well, and really just was trying to get my intake on the locker room and guys. And they told me this was the right organization. Even getting the feel on Byard and Simmons up front.
Just that right there. Not even just that he talked to Roger, but that he got a feel for Byard and Simmons, and he knows the roster. He was able to sort of make a pick here because the Rams were going to do right by him.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I think TD at ESPN, Teron, said, he picked the Titans.
Yeah.
Robert Woods picked the Titans as the right fit. And based on the Titans that we know from Vrabel and John Robinson and the guys that they want, this dude's going to be one of the most popular dudes almost immediately. And assuming he's healthy and can contribute, he's going to be hugely popular amongst the fans. Yeah. I know Rams fans are just like, he's always a Ram. He's always a Ram. Well, he's a Bill first.
Yeah.
And the Rams just see him, the Rams fans see him as the guy that really helped begin everything. One of the guys, one of those cornerstone pieces. And now the Titans have him on their side. And again, it's easy to pay a dude like that.
Yep.
It's easy to want your team to go pay a dude like that. And so good on John Robinson and the Titans for getting that done. 615-737-1045. Sweet 16 tonight. We'll talk a little bit about that. Then we'll bring in Brian Rice. I'm going to save the big Tyreek Hill topic that we talked about yesterday off air for 8 a.m. So that'll be something to look forward to as you're with us this morning. It's JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone.
7:02. Good morning. I'm Jonathan Shea. For the NCAA tournament continues with the first 4 games of the Sweet 16 tonight. Arkansas takes on Gonzaga. Also, Michigan against Villanova, Texas Tech against Duke, and Houston versus Arizona. Our coverage, courtesy of Westwood One, resumes at 6 o'clock. The CBI final men's college basketball. Middle Tennessee lost to UNC Wilmington 96-90 in double overtime. Blue Raiders, their season ends with a 26-11 record, a 21-game increase in victories from the previous season. Women's NIT tonight, Vanderbilt at Middle Tennessee, 6:30 tip at the Murphy Center. To the NBA, Grizzlies over the Nets, 132-120. Kyrie Irving, 43 points in the loss for the Nets. Ja Morant did not play for the Grizz, but they got their 50th win of the season. Kansas City Chiefs traded 6-time Pro Bowl wide receiver Tyreek Hill to the Miami Dolphins for 5 draft picks, a first-rounder and second-rounder and fourth-rounder this year, plus 4th and 6th-round picks in the 2023 draft. The Dolphins are also giving Hill a 4-year, $120 million contract extension, including just over $72 million guaranteed and including over $52 million at signing. The deal makes Hill the highest-paid wide receiver in NFL history. And Tennessee Titans agreed to terms with 2 special teamers and are also good linebackers as well, Hollywood Dylan Cole and Ola Adeni. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
What's happening? JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. All 4 Seasons Garage Doors in Nashville, making it possible for Ramon, Jonathan, and me to be here. He's at Ramon Foster.
Yeah.
I'm at JMart Radio.
Yeah.
Shafe's at Schaefer on Sports. I mean, you are. I mean,
You just want to argue right there.
All right, you want to know what really happened?
What?
This button is right beside this button.
Yeah.
And it's too early in the morning.
should have had one that goes, oh, hell, yeah. Have an Austin no and an Austin yeah.
I like that. I'm with
I'm
you.
high.
Ian Eagle yesterday
Shout out
admitting
to
that
Hightower.
he was on the cron when we called
That's
him.
not true at all.
He was on the
high.
tree preparing for St. Peter's, and he was as high as St. Peter.
He was
I'm
picking
high.
from Bobby trees.
He was over by the gates.
Tighten up.
He was smoking the bobby trees.
Yeah. Who, by the way, said he'd be delighted if somebody put a palm tree in his backyard, by the way, because he's a Cali kid. I'm high.
I bet that can be done.
I bet it could.
I'm high.
Can palm trees grow here? They should be able to, shouldn't they?
I'm going to need to look that up because I'll be wrong. Regardless of what I say, I'm going to be wrong.
It's just not going to end well.
Yeah, wherever I go, it's not a good place to go.
I really want to put a fruit tree in my backyard, but the way the deer patrol, it wouldn't last long. Like a real fruit tree, not like my lemon tree. I want to
Like
put
an
an
orange or an apple tree.
apple tree in the
Whatever
back.
happened to your lemon tree, by
Oh,
the way?
you know what? Some of the branches kind of died off, but new ones are growing in. They legit.
You know who can fix you up?
I don't know.
Bobby Trees.
Bobby Trees. I have to invite him over. Sit on the back porch a little bit.
That's exactly right. Alvin in Nashville. Alvin, what's up?
How y'all doing this morning?
Doing well.
Good morning, Alvin.
Hey, J-Mar, you already got that Russell Wilson jersey yet?
No, because here's why, Alvin. They haven't released the stitched versions yet. All they've got is screen printed ones. If I'm going to spend a decent amount of money on a jersey, I'm going to spend $30 more for the one that's actually, stitched like a limited jersey. So I'm going to wait until, I guess, close to the season and hope they release one. That's why I haven't bought one.
Correct. Hey, but I got a question for y'all, for both of y'all.
All right.
Do you think that Tua's seat is hotter than Ryan Tannehill? And the reason why I ask this is why. You setting up Tannehill again with a receiver crew. Last year, we went through 90 players, so he was in and out with different receivers. He got Hooper, he got Woods. I'm pretty sure we're gonna go to the draft and get a receiver. Whose seat is hotter? And also,
Have y'all ever thought about Ryan Tannehill? Who he reminds you of in the playoffs? He's Phillip Rivers 2.0. Phillip Rivers have a great season through the season, but when he gets to playoffs, what happens?
Yep. Okay.
But I have
Fair.
to listen.
Do I think he has? Do you say his seat is hotter between Tua and Tannehill,
Or is he does it compare the same as Tua, or is one better than the other?
Tannehill's better than Tua? At this point, I'm not sure that's even fair to put the two in the same sentence. I think Tua's seat is hotter because they thought about moving on from him as a rookie.
As a rookie, I thought that was. I thought that was a little premature. Yes. I didn't think he deserved that 100%. Who was his coach at the time? Was it Flores still? And Flores wasn't too keen to him either, if I'm not mistaken.
Didn't want him. One of the main reasons that Flores is not there is because he didn't want to.
Yes, 100%. I really thought that was a bit much, like too much too soon when it came down to saying, yeah, you got to get him out of here. The comparison between Tua and Tannehill, to me, I really don't know if it's a comparison, truth being told.
I don't either. I think it's disrespectful to Tannehill right now.
Right now. Like, this year, to your point about, what is this, year 3 for Tua, is very – it's necessary for him to have a good third year.
This is like make or break time. This is the same thing as a college football coach who you brought in the first 2 years were kind of middling results. Year 3, well, now you got your guys, da-da-da-da-da. Well, now with year 3, Miami has stockpiled around Tua and said, here's the banquet table.
Yeah.
Now you need to eat. Mm-hmm. And if he can't, then it's all going to be on him. Now, the only thing that would change that is Tyreek goes and tears an Achilles. Jalen Waddle gets another injury like he did at Alabama.
Yeah.
Raheem Mostert's likely to get hurt because he gets hurt every year, unfortunately. If they dealt with injuries, that would be the only out. But if that team misses the playoffs, I don't think there is a chance in the world he's the quarterback next year.
Tua. Yeah. And you know what's wild is he has a strong – he has a tougher road to get to the playoffs. I think Ryan Tannehill does too.
Yeah, the division.
The division is a whole lot harder. And just fighting out of I think they got to play Pittsburgh. I think they got to play just a couple other teams this year that is going to compete against them. So, again, the comparison between Tannehill and Tua, to me, I'm taking Tannehill because I feel more confident with him being in the pocket. But I will say this, the weapons that Tua has around him right now is very much solid. They have a young they have a young, talented offensive line in Miami, and also just got a left tackle. Again, the left tackle don't necessarily benefit Tua because he's a lefty, so he's seeing the rush come to his face. He needs to be worried about his right tackle more than anything.
So do this experiment to talk about Alvin's point. Replace the two guys and put them on the opposite team. Give Tannehill the weapons in Miami. How do you think he would do?
I think he'd flourish.
So do I.
Big time.
I find it hard to believe that his skill set wouldn't work with those wide receivers and with that talent.
And with
put Tua here. You've got Marcus.
Yep.
Marcus with a better deep ball.
Okay, so let's break this down a little bit further. Is this because of the team, the weapons, or is this because of the play calling a little bit also?
Well, that's going to be the other thing with Tua is. The other thing that they did, and you can't under-speak about this, is they went from a defensive-minded head coach in Brian Flores, who was responsible largely for the Patriots beating the Rams in that Super Bowl with the scheme that he and Belichick came up with to go against McVay and Goff. You went from that to this guy everybody says is an offensive genius that's been under Kyle Shanahan, that's worked with McVay, that has all this respect, that's part of that coaching tree. All those dudes have jobs now, LaFleur, McDonald, Shanahan, McVay, all those guys. So you gave him an offense. You gave him what you believe to be a Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan type as well. So it's like, we're giving you the guy to help you call the plays, to put you in positions. We're giving you unbelievable weaponry, and we're giving you protection up front.
Yep.
That's why I say – so last year I felt like Stafford had more pressure than anybody in the league because of what the Rams gave up, saying, you're the savior.
Yep.
And Stafford paid it off.
Yep.
Stafford ended up winning a Super Bowl. Now I think it's Tua because they've wagered everything to go get him a couple of weapons. And if it doesn't work, he will be the first shoe that drops.
Can I just say this, too? It seemed like the NFL has followed this trend of what the Rams did real quick, too. And because, like, not really realizing they may have been 2 plays away. And I know games are usually decided by 5 plays or less. But there was a point in that game, I feel like all of us at some point was like, oh, Rams about to lose this.
Which game are you talking about?
The Super Bowl.
That one and the Tampa. When Tampa started to make their comeback, you're like, well, this is Tom Brady.
Because everybody's following what they did, but I'm almost at the point, like, how close was that not going to work?
No, well, very.
And would the NFL have, like, would this offseason still have been what it is now? Because I think it does have a little bit to do with what the Rams did.
No question. If they had lost the Super Bowl, I don't know that you would have seen the same thing. The Rams almost lost to San Francisco.
Yeah, they did.
They almost found a way to blow the game against Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
And the Bengals, that was a 50-50 prop going into the fourth quarter.
Shout out to Aaron Donald.
Exactly right. Exactly right. California Rob, what's up?
Hey, man, it's nothing too much. I just wanted to say that, like Tua, Tannehill, only thing they got in common is Tua is, they both of their names starts with
a T.
They last name, okay? And Tannehill cannot even hold Tua's job. I don't know where you guys get up this stuff. Stop building up Tannehill. He's a choke artist. He's a master choke artist. I come out of the 60s and the 70s, and I'm telling you, Tannehill wouldn't even play. Tannehill can't compare to Johnny Unitas, nor Bart Starr. Roger the Dodger. Oh, Lord, have mercy. I am tired of Tannehill. Take him back to the hills where he comes from. Thank you.
California Rob. So you said you came from the 60s and 70s. I need you to go to LASIKMD.com and schedule yourself a free consultation because I'm pretty sure you're blind.
I highly would. I understand what you're saying, and I know this is probably more dislike of Ryan Tannehill with that statement than it actually love of Tua. Tua has talent. Tua also was almost on his way out, which was also still premature, but I'm taking Tannehill right now.
Dude, that's not even worthy of putting up as a poll question. It's so disrespectful to Ryan Tannehill.
Tua also hasn't fit in the whole season. He's also young. Like, there's a lot of things. Like, if we'd have been having this conversation and Tua was 6 years in Hollywood, then I'd be like, okay, we got more of it. But I'm taking the experience of Ryan Tannehill right now with over Tua, like 10 out of 10.
Okay, I was about to say I'm kind of baffled by just how, like, you're slow to say that. To me, I don't even have to think about that for half a second.
Wanted to just bring it into perspective. Like, I'm taking them 10 out of 10 right now. Whatever Tua grows into, we will see.
Right. I don't think that's even a question.
If I can be serious for a minute.
Tua is not a regular starter in this league.
I don't think so either. We're going to find out this year.
Like I said, I thought Hollywood's point was more about the hate for Ryan Tannehill than it actually is for the love of Tua.
That's a very, very good point. That's absolutely true. But don't make your point with the Tua side of that argument. Just say you hate Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah, I'd much rather hear that.
Yeah.
Respectfully, Hollywood, because that's your opinion.
Yeah, you can call and say that. And, of course, I was having fun with the LASIKMD because I love those guys. And I think you could stand to see the world a little
They stack up a lot in the same way. Both mobile, both got a deep ball, both have decision-making issues. But, of course, I'm taking the experienced guy over Tua.
615-737-1045 is the telephone number. 737-1045. I'm not going to ask you to pick Tua or Tannehill.
I kind of want to hear it.
That's beyond disrespectful. If anybody wants to take Tua in that situation, do call us. Because I want to hear that argument. 737-1045. It's JMart and Ramon, 1045 The Zone.
Tua Tagovailoa, QB, Alabama.
Spring weather in the South can be a little complicated. I think we've experienced that in the last 5 days. First, it was 70 degrees, and I needed some AC. And today it's a little bit what we like to call nippy, where you really need a little bit of the heat going right now. And it's Ramon Farsa, and I have the heating and cooling company that can fix that for you, all of your HVAC needs. And it's Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. With over 20 years of experience serving all of southern Middle Tennessee, Spring Hill Heating and Cooling is a family-owned and operated company that prides itself for outstanding customer service, which is very hard to find these days. Spring Hill Heating and Cooling offers cost-effective solutions such as free service calls for repairs or free estimates on replacement systems, which, of course, that's what companies can get you right there with that service fee right there. They back their work with 10-year parts and labor warranties and up to 72 months of no interest on new install. So be ready for the spring or the summer or anything that may come your way by getting the best indoor air quality thanks to Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. With 2 locations to serve you, Columbia and Lyles, and available anytime at springhillac.com. Spring Hill AC, Spring Hill Heating and Cooling.com.
Welcome back.
Bad boys.
It's JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone.
Going nowhere.
I'd be fine if we just renamed it JMart, Ramon, and Chafe, too. Or Chafe, also featuring JMart and Ramon. I'm fine being Eminem on the Patiently Waiting track.
The best producer in the world! Yes. Hell yeah.
615-737-1045. We go to the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline where a spicy gentleman is waiting. Brian Rice from Knoxville, WNML, our sister station. B. Rice, what's going on?
Gentlemen, good morning. It's a beautiful day in Knoxville, and it will be a even more beautiful day across the state if the Lady Vols can get a win on Saturday in the Sweet 16, their first since 2017. So things going well, rolling along, and currently on the bus rolling to the airport with Tennessee softball to go to Gainesville. So hopefully it won't snow this time like it did the last time we spoke.
Yeah, well, there you go. So since you mentioned Lady Vols, we can lead off there. I thought the Belmont, Tennessee game was just a great experience. It was great for the state.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a great sporting event. I ended up sticking around watching the game after, the UConn UCF game after. I thought maybe I would tune in and see a little bit of Belmont, Tennessee, but me and my wife just sat there and ended up watching the last 3 quarters of the game. That was just sometimes something can just hook you, and to me that had all of the elements that you want a sporting event to have to just get interested. And I thought it was great for Belmont. It was excellent for Tennessee. It was just a good look in general.
You know, I keep the score at the Lady Vols game. So I was there for Belmont, Oregon on Saturday as well. And Oregon, it was kind of a similar game where Belmont just did what they did and shot threes, played good defense, played hard. And we actually talked to Kelly Harper on our show yesterday, and she said, you know, I asked her about how difficult it is to change your preparation when there's an upset in the first round, and she said, full transparency, we had that Oregon-Belmont game as a 50-50 game, and I really thought Belmont was going to win that game, and they did. And then, you know, she kind of knew the effort that they were going to come out with. Kelly Harper, having been a coach in the Missouri Valley Conference, knows what it's like for a team to go up against the big team in a state and to try to come out ahead and to try to earn some respect. So she knew what Belmont was going to do, and I think that's a team, you know, top to bottom. They all shoot the three ball really well. You have a player inside who can also step out and shoot threes. They create a lot of matchup problems for a lot of teams. That was just a really fun basketball game. Belmont fans traveled. They brought busloads of students on both Saturday and Monday, and it contributed to a really, really cool postseason environment at Thompson Bowling Arena. Certainly, selfishly, glad Tennessee came out with it, but all the credit in the world to Belmont and that program because they have built a winner, and there are a lot of young kids on that team that I think are going to be ready to go make a run in the tournament again next year.
With the job that Kelly Harper has done, man, honestly, I think she's the right person for the job right now, considering it's enough of a separation from Coach Pat Summitt to where it's like, okay, this is her era. And she's actually putting together a team that you're like, hey, they could really get back into the threshold of just being one of those elite women's basketball teams, man. Just what has that journey been like for her and watching the product right now?
You know, it's amazing to watch this team play, and they've relied on some veterans. I don't want to take anything away from Ray Burrell. Jordan Horson's been their best player throughout the year. She's injured right now. Tamari Key is a recruit that Kelly inherited. But the players that are setting kind of the tone with how hard they play, with having a bit of a chip on their shoulder, are players that Kelly Harper recruited. Tess Darby's out of the state of Tennessee, and she came in not very highly rated and has started nearly every game this season and is a huge part of what this team does. Sarah Puckett, the freshman that hit the three to win the game the other night, true freshman. Caroline Strickland's gotten in as the season's gone on. Brooklyn Miles. They have a tough-nosed mentality, and I think when you have a roster like that, when you inject some 4 or 5-star type players, it's a lot like what Rick Barnes has done with the men's team.
Right.
You build that base of players who are going to play hard for you, like it means something to them every night because it does, and then you inject some really high-level talent on top of that. It's the recipe that I think every basketball coach looks at as, here's how I can have success in both the regular season and in March.
Brian, watching the not the Lady Vols, but the Vols, and they came up short against Michigan. It was a good game. Obviously, Michigan's big in the middle was a problem, and then Brooks in the second half made that crazy, what I thought was a prayer kind of shot. Then Slay told us, no, that we've heard he makes those shots a lot. People that know him, that he does that kind of thing. But Rick Barnes, what's been the reaction on your show this week from the fans towards Barnes? Because I've said this all week long that I don't see any way to blame him for an 11% three-point shooting performance. I think that you can't overcome that. Almost nobody in this tournament's going to win if they shoot that poorly from outside. But what's been the response from the fan base towards Rick this week?
Yeah, there's some frustration, but I think what you said there is key to it. If there was a problem that Rick Barnes did, his teams did the same things in March every year, then you say he's not a good March coach. But that's not the case. When you look back over his coaching career, you actually looked at it year by year, what they were when they went to the tournament, both at Texas and at Tennessee, versus what they achieved. It's not they just underachieve in March. It's hey, guys, remember, it's really hard to win in March.
Yeah.
And you put yourself in a position to be there and to have the right matchups in March. But, I look at, we complained about kind of the road that Tennessee got because they got a 3 seed instead of a 2 seed. And I still thought that was a more favorable road than what Kentucky had. Well, Kentucky ends up losing in the first round. So does Tennessee, if they're in Kentucky's spot, lose to St. Peter's? Who knows? But that was a terrible matchup for Kentucky. That was a team that got hot. I think it's difficult to win in March, and you have to remember that. That's not an excuse. That doesn't excuse losing earlier than you should have. But I think when you look at coaches across the country, who is dominant in March? It's a really, really short list. And by the way, those teams are usually pretty good throughout the season too. So I think there's some frustration. But when you take a step back and look at the big picture, it's not his teams always do this in March, so this is a problem. It's just hard to win this time of year.
It is. This time of the year is also where the Tennessee football program is, man. Second time around for Heupel. Getting some of those freshmen in on the practice field also, man. What has been the conversation around what they've done? I know it's only been a couple days, but what's the conversation around that group?
Well, you know as well as anybody, if you don't look good in shorts and helmets, you're never going to look good. But, but getting out there and just kind of see it. I think the speed is what has stood out early on in spring practice is just some of those guys that you've heard about, and you've heard that their speed is going to be a game changer when the fall rolls around because it's so much of about what Josh Heupel wants to do. I think you can see that early on. But really, it's just having guys with some ability to know what they want done out on the field. At this time last year, they're learning how to practice. They're learning what Josh Heupel expects. They're learning what practice periods you're going to have. Well, now they're hitting the ground running on that. You have a lot of veteran leadership that's able to bring the young guys along. Young guys are getting acclimated to it. I think there's a lot of reason for optimism that you could actually get in and accomplish something this year. By the way, you don't have to waste one of your practices on a scripted scrimmage because you're not having an orange and white game. So you can actually build towards 3 really meaningful scrimmages where I think some guys are going to win some jobs this year. But, the young players are going to be counted on again this fall. Probably not as much as they were last year, but you've got some questions. There's a lot of opportunity in the defensive backfield with most of your returners are going to miss the entirety of spring. There's some opportunity for some guys to get better. You would like for the returnees to be able to get better in this time period. But, if a freshman comes in and proves himself over the course of the spring, there's a much better chance that you're going to see some quality depth there this fall.
Brian, man, you know me, I'm a Tennessee guy through and through when it comes to this football team, especially, man. And I just got to ask you, we've been around the calendar once with Josh Heupel, and we're seeing what he's doing as far as recruiting, man. And, of course, everybody else in the SEC is doing their thing, too. And I just got to ask you because you see him day to day, you hear the conversations, you're around that building and everything else that goes along with the Tennessee football program, specifically, though, for Josh Heupel. Can he handle the SEC moving forward with the expectation of getting this 5-star kid and continuously just building at the university? Can he actually do it since you've seen him in 1 year?
I think his personality is set to be able to do it where when expectations come along, those aren't going to weigh on him to the point that he gets paralysis by analysis.
Okay.
I think of the Butch Jones era is the perfect corollary to this, because he was fine until there were expectations, and then they crushed him. I don't see Josh Heupel as somebody who gets crushed by expectations. I think he embraces it.
Okay.
And he wants better players because he's confident in his system, he's confident in the plays he's going to call, and he's confident in his staff to develop guys. And when you have that confidence, I don't think expectations bother you. I don't think paranoia creeps in and things like that. I don't see any evidence of that with him like I have with some coaches in the past. And I think that sets him up to have success because his players feel that confidence too. I think of your career, you look at the coaches that you had, both position coaches, head coaches, Phil Fulmer in college and Mike Tomlin in the NFL, you look to those guys, they're confident. They know you're going to go win on Saturday or Sunday. I think Josh Heupel brings that confidence too, and I think it bleeds over to his football team.
And do you think you're a guy like Nico, right? Yeah, I know there's money involved, but Nico looks at Heupel and he sees what you just said. I mean, we look at the East. Georgia's a totally different animal right now. We get that. The big three, though, you're playing Georgia, you're playing Florida, you're playing Alabama. I feel like, you can correct me if I'm wrong, the Heupel looks at Florida and says, yeah, we can take y'all. We can take y'all fairly soon. And that's attractive to a kid like Nico, who wants everybody to be paying attention to him and obviously has a bright future.
Well, and here's the other thing. NIL money is what it is, but no high-level prospect is going to go somewhere where they don't feel like they're going to be developed into an NFL player.
Mm-hmm.
Because NIL money is temporary. All these guys want to make $100 million in the NFL, particularly quarterbacks. They are not going to go somewhere that they don't feel like that can still be their end goal. And I think Nico sees a guy in Josh Heupel who develops quarterbacks. I thought this from the start, that if he could show some proof of concept with a guy, that quarterback recruiting would not be a problem. And I think what he showed last year is he takes Hendon Hooker, who was just a guy at Virginia Tech, and turns him into a guy that's on Heisman Trophy list this year. If I'm a quarterback and everything else is present, that's a situation I want in, and this is a conference I want in. And I think Josh Heupel was able to use that to his advantage with signing Nico, or with getting Nico to commit. And I think the most important two things about that commitment are not how he ends up playing on the field or anything like that. I think it's that he validated Josh Heupel to other high-level recruits, and he is going to bring those guys with him. And I think having a class of highly talented guys can build your program even more than just having a five-star number 3 player in the country type quarterback.
So that validation point, I saw Moan shaking his head as you were saying it, makes me think of like, all right, so Tom Brady goes to Tampa Bay, and then all of a sudden everybody will take less to go there.
Yeah,
Golden State shows up and they start winning, and now a lot of veteran guys are willing to go there that might not have considered that as a destination. Maybe Russ is going to do that for my Broncos this year. Like the same kind of thing exists where, yeah, I want to be around that coach, but man, that quarterback can get me the football. That quarterback's going to put us in prime time. That quarterback can get it done. That is an attractive option for a lot of guys just playing around other talent.
And it makes Tennessee, quote unquote, cool again. You know, the recruits that are playing and trying to commit right now don't remember Tennessee being great.
No,
we all do as fans, you know, because it's recent to us. But in the time that they've followed football, it hasn't been. So you need a little bit of that. All right, well, if this guy thinks Tennessee can get him to the league, then I think Tennessee can get me to the league. Good players want to play with good players, but more importantly, they want to know that a place will help them meet their goals. And I think having somebody like Nico sign off on that to this level of prospect says the same thing, that this is the place that can help me reach my goals. And that's, in my opinion, the most important part of that commitment is opening Tennessee up to guys in the 2023 class and the 2024 class that are considering their college options right now.
So, Brian, real just the conversation around the money. I think it was the article came out that a kid got $8 million, and then of course soon after that it was linked almost to Spire in Tennessee, or just Spire who's related to Tennessee. We'll just say that. If you could speak on the money, like, and I've just been thinking to myself, you brought it up a second ago, and Jay just kind of backed it up by saying, look, the money is one thing. Whether he succeeds or fails, it at least put them on a map as saying, look, this is the investment it takes to actually get eyes on the university. Is that what the 8 M's was for, allegedly, if it went to him and his family?
I think that's some of it. But here's the thing. I would want to see what the contract says, because I guarantee nobody has just walked up and said, hey, here's how much money you're getting, sign right here. I don't think that's reality. I think it's probably somewhere in the up to category.
Okay.
But I do think that these collectives are trying to ensure that players know that they're going to be supported and they're going to be taken care of where they go. In a world where that's allowed now, that you're going to do that. I don't know that I necessarily see what people are talking about as a guarantee or anything like that. But
right.
Here's the other side of it. I think it's a starting point. If you're truly that level of quarterback that's elevating a program to being a national championship contender, I think the 8's on a low end. Is it? I mean, really.
Yeah.
If you're here and you're willing to lend your name as the starting quarterback for a top 10 team to a business, that's worth a lot of money. And as a local business owner told me yesterday, compared to some of these big sponsors, he's small potatoes. But if I'm running a big business that's intrinsically connected to Tennessee or its brand or its advertising or whatever it is across the state, I'm going to be willing to invest some of my money in that too, because it makes my sponsorship more valuable. It makes my support more valuable, because if Tennessee's making a Final Four run right now, then the companies that are associated with Kennedy Chandler are even better. The companies that are associated with Tennessee and seeing their ads played are worth even more. And so I think that's where that comes in with businesses, is that they say, a rising tide raises all boats, and we're a pretty big boat in that. So that's where I think it can come into play over the course of the long haul. I'm going to be interested to see how NIL works out for these programs and these kids over the course of a long time, because it's going to be an evolving process over the next few years, and I'm interested to see how it all plays out.
So Arkansas is not your favorite state, but they're the only team left in the SEC, Brian, in the NCAA tournament. They got a shot because they're a kind of more polished version of Memphis. Can you deal with Arkansas continuing in this tournament, or do you need to see Drew Timme go full on against them?
No, I don't have any real issue with them as a basketball program, particularly now that they're the lone wolf standing from the SEC. I think it's cool that they are doing what they're doing. They were a good team all year. The question about Arkansas was, how would it translate to the postseason when they didn't have their home crowd behind them? The answer is really well. When you have a team that defends as well as Arkansas does, they're going to have some postseason success. They're built for it. They got some good matchups in the first couple of rounds, and I think they can make a run in this thing over the next week or so. Will they? I don't know. I think they have as good a chance as any, but I will be rooting for their success going forward here. I'm only a hater when it comes to people like Coach K. If his last game ever is tonight, I will shrug my shoulders, nod and smile, and move on.
That's fair, Brian.
I'm a hater.
We appreciate
100% because I'm a hater.
You said it, so we're just gonna steal it and use it every time you come on, Brian. We appreciate it, brother. Thanks so much,
gentlemen. Thanks.
Way to go, Brian. I had a softball question I want to ask him too, man. We were talking on the break about how Kentucky lost to Oklahoma women's, man. And softball, those girls hit tanks, man. It's fun to watch the other night.
Is he still on hold? Brian, are you still there?
I am.
Answer that question Moan just posed about Kentucky and Oklahoma softball.
Moonshots all around. I would encourage you. I retweeted a video on Sunday from Zeta Pooney at Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
She hit a grand slam that I'm not sure has landed yet. The left fielder didn't move. Not only didn't move, the producer of the SEC Plus broadcast texted me, goes, she was so planted in left, she was ready to take a charge. She just looked up and it was gone. So I'm hoping for some moonshots in Gainesville this weekend from our bats. But yeah, if you see college softball on TV, get ready, because those players on just about every team are bombing away this year, and it's awesome.
Wasn't she also responsible for like all 6 runs in that game?
Yes.
My wife told me that. Yeah, that's crazy.
Oklahoma has some talent. We played them out in Palm Springs. It was a 9-8 game in extra innings, but they are very, very impressive.
Yeah, they are.
Person.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brian. I'm glad you were still hanging on.
Yeah, me too, man. I appreciate you paying it off for me.
It's JMart and Ramon. We'll take Christy's phone call when we come back here on 104.5 The Zone. Hey, so I told the caller earlier, go schedule a free LASIK consultation because clearly you're not seeing very well. As you were comparing Tannehill to Tua Tagovailoa, I'm telling you to do the exact same thing, man. I did it. It's one of the best decisions I've ever made. I love the way that I'm starting to see now. Most of you aren't going to have to deal with what I dealt with. I had to have a special procedure done, and it's been a little bit more involved. But for most of you, it's 10 minutes. It's painless. You're back in action the next day. The glasses and the contacts become a bit of a thing of the past for a while. The technology's come a long way, and so have the prices. LASIK MD, Dr. Jason Greenberg, the best. He's done over 80,000 of them. I'm one of them. The company's done over 1 million in North America. Again, I'm one of them. Love these guys. They've been so supportive throughout the whole process. They're who you need to go see. A lot of our listeners are doing so. I want you to be next in line. Go to LASIKMD.com this morning and schedule yourself a free consultation. You got to make sure you're a candidate, and then it's gravy from there. LASIKMD.com again. If you've thought about this before, you have no reason to wait. Again, the technology and where it's gone, the advancements, Contoura right now, the clarity that you can get from this, it's just different. If it's something that you've thought about, but man, it's going to be so intensive, it's going to be so costly, all this, I'm telling you, it's more affordable than you think it is, and it's better and easier than it's ever been before. So no more reason to wait. Get off the fence. Do what I did. Go to LASIKMD.com and schedule a consultation today. Again, that's LASIKMD.com. Is this Vanderbilt's logo in a song?
What is this?
I don't know who this person is. Christian DeAndrea. You could live here. I don't know. Wrote this for USA Today. The university's branding, however, in the midst of a massive step backwards. They'll be replacing their iconic Star V in favor of something ripped from a failing company's NFT announcement. This new vision sucks. Vanderbilt University gave a small but passionate fan base a change they did not ask for. They eliminated a recognizable icon of their faith with a generic video game creative team Microsoft Word-looking logo that is the opposite of special. It's rote, it's cliche, it's the Villanova logo in a different gradient. In an effort to signal a new future, the university discarded a key element of the school's identity. The Star V was a symbol of hope for a fan base that had truly gone through the ringer, only to have its faith paid off by eventual breakthroughs, bowl games, Sweet 16 trips, national championships in women's tennis, baseball, and most famously bowling. The new logo wants to throw that away. Vanderbilt, we're just like everyone else. But Vanderbilt isn't like everyone else. Being a Vanderbilt fan is rooting for the Cubs through a World Series drought or investing your faith in the Maple Leafs, even though you know deep down there's a 99% chance this will all end in heartache. The university is cashing out those emotional investments in a hollow rebrand as if no one's going to remember those 2-10 football seasons or the Bryce Drew basketball era or Woody Weidenhofer, the head coach turned toll booth operator, telling his teams, have fun, expect to win.
Dang.
And it talks about, I guess this author is a Commodore fan. Commodore fans didn't need this. We bought into the Vandy United facility upgrades, a $300 million investment in athletics. That means so much more than typing V into a word art app and calling it a day. We were happy with the current state of affairs, optimistic about the future. But the new logo is a reminder that, yes, we're probably going to botch all this. The message within isn't, it's a brand new era for the university. It's, we have no interest in being special and we prefer just to fit in.
Dang. That's cold.
Someone said on Twitter that the logo looks like if you took someone wearing Jenko pants and hung them upside down.
That's funny.
That's bad.
We wore the Star V because it was recognizable. We owned up to losses because we knew how sweet it would be when the wins eventually came. Vanderbilt athletics were never about bandwagons or new beginnings. It was about crawling through miles and miles of garbage in hopes of coming out clean on the other side, like Andy Dufresne. Those losses made the triumphs, however fleeting, seem special.
My friend Andy Dufresne.
There's nothing special about this new logo. There's not a damn thing Vanderbilt about it.
Damn.
That's just one article. That's just one.
That's just one. Yeah. That's just one amongst a mass of stray shots, stray bullets.
All right, that's cold-blooded.
Buck said it on his show the other day when the logo got released. He's like, we're trying to give you a W, and you guys won't even take it.
Won't even.
No, they took the W and cut it in half and made it into two Vs.
And added some pointers on the end. Boy.
W was an extra peak for them. They couldn't handle it. You can only have one peak.
That's cold-blooded, man.
And that's the thing. Even people that I know that are diehard Vandy fans, and thoughts and prayers to them, you know, and pairs and prayers and all of them, and thoughts and tots. They all hate it.
I know. Yeah,
they all. We'll talk to Jim Wyatt later. He'll have his thoughts on it.
I can't wait to hear it.
We're gonna get to a phone call after the top of the hour. Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Not Hacksaw Jim Duggan, but that's what's in the chat, or that's what's on the screen. So
I answered the phone.
Is that what he sounds like, or did he say, "Oh"?
He said Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and he besmirched my mother by what he said next.
Okay, well, we will talk to Hacksaw to open up a third hour, and then we're gonna get into the Tyreek Hill topic that I have saved for later on, and you will definitely want to be here for that. It's JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. So I tell you about Genesis Diamonds every single week. And the reason why is because I believe in them and because they put a giant smile on my fiance at the time and now, of course, lovely wife's face. And I knew when I walked in there and listen to them teach me about the diamond industry and teach me about what I should be looking for, what's important, how to get the most value for my money, how to get just the best item that I could. It's the education that I want to talk to you about today, and it's what I've been talking to you about now for the last few weeks. These are non-commissioned salespeople that aren't clerks behind a counter, that know what they're talking about and have no problem making sure you know everything they do before you actually have to make a purchase. There's no pressure here. There's no expectations here. They know people like me are numbskulls when it comes to diamonds. So they're committed to teaching you, not selling you. And then they're going to give you access to one of the largest selections of GIA certified diamonds in America. 10, 15, 20 diamonds in your price range side by side. You don't have to call in advance so that they have them ready for you so they can get them brought in. They're there. You can make an intelligent decision. Then they're going to absolutely guarantee you the best, lowest price, not just here, but anywhere in America. They'll work with your budget, whatever that is, and they're going to respect your budget. If you're diamond shopping, there should be no other choice. Zero risk, zero pressure. And now, the largest selection of luxury pre-owned Rolexes in Tennessee. We're talking hundreds of amazing timepieces. Genesis Diamonds is voted best jewelry store and best place to buy an engagement ring so many times I don't even remember the number. We're in double figures now. They're my jewelry store. I want them to be yours. It's Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills, and Cool Springs.
8:03, good morning. I'm Jonathan Shea for the Kansas City Chiefs. Traded 6-time Pro Bowl wide receiver Tyreek Hill to the Miami Dolphins for 5 draft picks. First rounder, second rounder, fourth rounder this year. The first rounder, number 29, second rounder, number 50, plus fourth and sixth round picks in the 2023 draft. Dolphins are also giving Hill a 4-year, $120 million extension, including over $72 million guaranteed, $52 million in change at signing. The deal makes Hill the highest-paid wide receiver in NFL history. Tennessee Titans agreed to terms with 2 special teamers / linebackers, Hollywood Dylan Cole and linebacker Ola Adeni. Middle Tennessee lost to UNC Wilmington 96-90 in double overtime yesterday in the CBI final. The Blue Raiders, their season ends with a 26-11 record, a 21-game increase in victories from the previous season. Women's NIT tonight, Vanderbilt at Middle Tennessee, 6:30 will be the tip. NCAA tournament, that continues tonight. First 4 games of the Sweet 16, Arkansas versus Gonzaga, Michigan versus Nova, Texas Tech against Duke, Houston versus Arizona. Our coverage, courtesy of Westwood One, resumes at 6 o'clock tonight. Grizz defeated the Nets 132-120. Preds at Las Vegas tonight. 9 o'clock puck drop for that. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
I'll say something I've never said before. What's happening? Welcome in hour 3. JMart and Ramon.
Yeah.
Glad to be with you. Ramon Foster, Jonathan Schaefer, I'm Jason Martin.
Yeah.
We're on Twitter at JMart and Ramon. Yeah. The Shawshank gifs are all over today. GIFs, whatever. I don't care. Say what you want. Life's too short.
They're the GIFs that keep on giving.
GIF?
What?
It broke me for a second because it's something I should have come up with and didn't.
Oh, see, okay, that's fair. Because I was just going to say it wasn't amazing, but it was fine.
So we got in last night from the Ryman, and CG was still awake. CG was awake at 10:20, sitting on Grandma's lap, smiling at us as we walked in the doors, like it's 10:20.
Like, you know when people be like, "Man, I'm gonna pray for you," and they really don't.
Mm-hmm.
Like. That's a poll. Like that's a bracket right there. Yeah. You know, we got to talk about the parental brackets. Yeah. Like I brought you in this world, I take you out. Like
that's going to be the poll for today.
Yeah.
Have you ever said, "Yeah, man, I'm going to pray for you," and that was the prayer? Now you need to intercede. Like when you say that, you need to pay it off, folks. You need to intercede with the Lord on behalf of those people. You don't need to say, "Man, that's tough, man. I'm definitely going to be in my thoughts, man. Definitely going to be in my thoughts right here this second. You're in my thoughts. 5 seconds from now, it's going to be back where I was. I need to exit the grocery store. Forgot about the thoughts."
Can I be real for a second?
Go ahead.
If I can be serious for a minute.
That's pretty much me.
Everybody.
You see what I'm saying?
I mean, you do eventually pray for a lot of people in your life, but if you have said, "I'm going to pray for you," and not done it, then you're everyone else. And if you claim you haven't done it, then you're a liar.
Yeah. But to that point, though, I said it and I meant it when I told you, I'm going to pray for you. Okay? Because of your baby, your infant, she's still an infant, not even in the toddler state. She's up at 10:20 at night.
Oh, we actually have audio from that last night.
What was it?
CG's response to them coming through the door?
Yeah. No.
You guys are ready to go to bed?
Hey, I'm going to pray for y'all, dog.
Walked in, she was in the sleep sack, sitting on Grandma. Grandma was almost out.
See?
Grandpa was almost out. CG's just
like a rave party.
Ready for it. It's just like, I got to go to bed. You're going to sleep. Let's go to Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Not quite. In Nashville. What's up?
What do you mean, not quite? Let me tell you nerds something. One thing y'all forget about this Ryan Tannehill, you got to be tough to play quarterback in Tennessee.
Okay, only good quarterbacks we had was McNair and Ryan Tannehill. What do they have in common? They're tougher than a Mississippi pine knot, son. But let me tell you, you put old Tua Tangle whatever his name is, over here, and he would be down in the first quarter. Ryan Tannehill is made out of hickory. Okay? I'm out here surveying out here in the heart of Brentwood. Any one of y'all Peckerwoods want to pull up and talk about Ryan Tannehill, me and Monk Dog, we got a 2x4 with your name on it. Come on with it. Oh!
Easy, pal.
You call back anytime, Hacksaw. I don't know if one of those words was PC enough, but hey.
Everything's all right.
Everything's all right. We got a dump button for that.
So the overarching point there from him was what? Because I got lost in the Weckerpud portion.
Called you a nerd. That's what. That's all I heard.
I like that you said he called you a nerd when he said y'all nerds forgetting. He said it plural, and you're like, you gonna let him call you a nerd? He ain't called me one.
You saw what Urban Meyer said? Man, the boys in the South transcripts ain't right. Nerd. That's a compliment, by the way. But the fact that Hacksaw used it as a friggin' diss, I'm like, what are you right now? You nerds. What was that all about? But yeah, I'm going to pray for you and your daughter. She ain't even a teenager yet, Jay.
No, she's not close to a teenager. She's not one yet. We got a ways until we get there, man.
She ain't even
We
fell
just
out.
ordered her, I didn't even know it was a thing, smash cake.
I'd never heard of that for a birthday.
It's cake, yeah, for her first birthday to put in her
Man,
face.
just put that thing in front of her. She just gonna go to work. Period. You ain't even got to smash it. You bought two
it's
cakes.
a smash. It's apparently that's what it's designed for. Smash cake is one that's supposed to be smashed in the face.
I ain't ever heard of that, Jay.
Me either.
That's brand boy. Parenting in 2022 is new. It's
There's a lot going on, man.
Yeah.
There's a lot to worry about.
You really don't sound too enthused by this.
No, I'm pretty enthused by it.
Because all I hear is ching, 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 ching. Smash cake
It does all cost money.
Yeah.
Everything costs money.
Dude. Whew.
Do you understand we have to feed her?
Nerd.
Like every day. It's relentless. She's got to have meals. She's got to have snacks. Jailhouse and free.
Yeah. Yard
Toys.
Time. Yeah, no, man.
None of it's free.
I told you, though.
When you go to the store, you actually have to pay money for this stuff.
When you first introduced it to the show and we thought somebody had died, but you broke the news to us, I didn't know which direction you was going.
Nah, it was a slave that died in a dream.
Yeah, you brought life into this world, and now she's going to take you out. By the way, shout out to my guy, too, man. Ola Adani.
Yeah, back with the Titans.
Back. Yes, sir. I just sent him a text last night to congratulate him. He said he had a couple teams on the line for him, too. He said he chose to stick here in Tennessee, man. That says a lot. I will give Vrabel and his staff credit when you can retain guys that have other options in other cities, i.e. Robert Woods for sure had other options. He explored some different cities, and he chose the Titans. Ola Daney texted me last night and said the exact same thing, that he chose to stay here. And also our guy that we nicknamed already, too, Dylan Cole.
Oh, Hollywood Cole.
Hollywood Cole signed back too, man. So
that means that jacket's staying in Nashville for another year.
Oh, I say Hollywood in every update I do.
Did you order one?
We're going to make that happen. Did I order one?
Yeah, a track jacket like that?
Sure.
Might as well, right?
It's a Bosworth special, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, for real.
So here's the question that I want to address when we come back, now that I know we have a lengthy enough segment to really get into it.
Question is, when you say, I'll pray for you, and then...
Yeah, that's the
don't.
sideline. But yes, please call if you have ever lied to someone and said you were going to pray for them. Meant it in the moment. But then when it came time, you forgot them when the list was going through that night.
You just fell asleep. Didn't even pray.
Tyreek Hill, the move. Colin Cowherd made a point a couple of days ago that I found really interesting as a topic. So Tyreek made this decision. And Colin said that he doesn't like to give people advice. And I've heard a number of successful people say this lately. Howard Stern says this. He says, I'm not going to give you advice because your situation's totally different than mine. Why would you listen to me? Billie Eilish said the same thing. So people ask her advice. It's like, I wouldn't take yours. Why would you take mine? Like, your experience is going to be different than mine. So my advice might not help you anyway. So he tells people this. Oh, you want to get in this industry, you want to work in media. Never chase money over management. Always chase management, never chase money. Tyreek Hill looks to have chosen money over management. We're going to discuss that in detail, give you some examples, talk about what you would do in this situation. I think it's fascinating, and there's a lot there, and we'll do that when we come back out of this break. It's JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. Hey, so you found the dream home. You know it's there. You've seen it. You've seen it on the website. You've driven past it. It's the one, right? Well, there's other buyers that feel exactly the same way that you do. So you're trying to get your offer selected. So that's when you cannot be unclear as to whether or not that loan's going to get approved. If you get pre-qualified with the right lender, and that's the key point, the right lender before house hunting, that's how you stand out from the crowd. That's going to give you reassurance, but maybe most importantly, it's going to give the people that are responsible, the sellers, the ones that are selling your dream home, it's going to give them an extra layer of reassurance. So if you're working with a lender that's not giving you the service you'd like, that's a problem, and it's something you need to fix right now, especially in this market. You know how tough it is to get a house here right now. You have to make sure you're hitting your closing date. You have to make sure it's being structured right, or you're not going to be able to realize your dreams. Mortgage Investors Group is the Southeast's leading mortgage lender, and they're going to get you to the finish line. They're here to help you get not just any home loan, but the right home loan. They are committed to everything we've been talking about for the last minute or so. Let MIG work for you. Go to migonline.com this morning. Get all of the information you need. Get that pre-qualification process going. See where the nearest office is to you. migonline.com, or you can text these three letters, MIG, that's MIG, to 31399. That's 31399 and get pre-qualified. Mortgage Investors Group is the right home loan. Equal housing lender, license number 109111. By the way, singing this doesn't count as praying for that person you said you were going to pray for.
Yo, Jonathan Schaefer.
This was indeed this was a song that brought me to the dance. This is the first tape I ever bought. It was MC Hammer. And
one of the first ones I did.
Pray. It was because of Pray. It wasn't because I Can't Touch This or Let's Get It Started or Have You Seen Her. It was because of Pray.
By the way, the rumors are as Hammer was a cold-blooded gangster. So he prayed for you and also lay hands on you, too.
I think his 60th birthday was like yesterday.
Hammer's not 60.
I think he's 60.
Hammer's pants are the V logo also. It's not just the Jenkos.
I need to see it. I might Photoshop that myself. I might Photoshop.
Turn him upside down.
Myself.
He wore gold too.
Yeah, he did.
He wore gold. Just turn a photo of MC Hammer upside down. You got the doors.
Every NWA wrestler in the 80s.
Yeah.
Anchor down. You're anchoring with the head.
If there was anything that Vandy was gonna change,
it'd be the Whistler.
No.
Well, that should be the logo. It should be a whistle.
It should be the Whistler.
Be a whistle with a string on it with a V painted on the side of it.
The slogan to me, anchor down. I get it, don't move, but there's so many jokes that can be thrown around that, which is why I'm like, if there was anything you were going to pay a consulting company over 2 years worth of cash for, it would have been to find a different slogan. The Star V was fine to me. And I know we hadn't talked much about it here because it's their decision, and I can't be mad at the business making a decision for themselves. But that anchor down logo got to go. So many other things that could be used instead of anchor down. And if you pay me,
you're talking about the phrase.
The phrase.
Yeah, the actual.
The Star V was perfectly fine. We had grown accustomed to that. Again, Vandy, like I want to give you your flowers here for sure. Because you got a lot of good things going, but anchor down got to go. Because at least there's so many jokes behind it. Like, guess your anchor doesn't go far enough to stop, huh? Like, it's so easy for me to do that, and I don't want to do that.
My bad. Hammer will be 60 next week.
Sorry, Chris Williams, my buddy. Hammer be 60 next week.
Next week.
Am I getting older too?
Yeah, Mon.
Yeah, buddy.
And there will be a moment when you really realize it.
Yeah. Like you talking about your running. Talking about you down bad right now.
Somebody said if you take the Vandy logo and move it sideways, it looks like a staple remover.
It does. It does.
You see what I'm saying? The Star prevented that. Oh, my God.
All right, so the topic we were talking about that I set up before the break. Colin Cowherd said it thusly when he's asked of people getting into the industry. He tells them, the only thing he tells them, he doesn't give them specific advice. He just says, don't chase money, chase management. Chase the right situation over the biggest paycheck. Because you're eventually going to get it back on the back end.
Yeah.
But you can't get the positives from being in the right situation. So Tyreek Hill left a Hall of Fame quarterback, we think,
and
a sure Hall of Fame coach, head coach in Andy Reid. He left a Super Bowl champion team that's always a contender for a team that hasn't been to a Super Bowl in your lifetime, Mon.
No,
I don't think.
Not. Heck, I barely saw Marino really playing, or I barely watched it.
They've been looking forever. They just got rid of Flores, and there's the talk of tanking back in the day. There's all these things. They've been trying to find a quarterback for ages. Tom Brady's dominated that division the entire time. Stephen Ross might be on a little bit thinner ice than he used to be.
Yeah.
You don't know about your quarterback. We think we're not so sure, but you knew about Mahomes. Mahomes was comfortable.
Yep.
He helped make you a superstar, and you helped make him a superstar. But this was a money grab. This was a money grab for Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill didn't leave because he didn't want to be in Kansas City. He left because Kansas City couldn't afford to pay him what he thought he was worth.
Facts.
He left because he saw Devontae Adams. And if you have a top-flight wide receiver on your team, note that person also saw Devontae Adams. AJ saw Devontae Adams. DK Metcalf saw Devontae Adams. Even guys like Jamar Chase, who you've got a few years with before you have to pay, they saw Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
And they're going to want their piece. But I'll ask it this way. Because I think it's accurate. Would you work for a company that's not ideal for more money in the short term? Or would you rather have the opportunity to be there longer, have more success, probably have less stress with a good organization?
Mm-hmm.
Because what happens to a great player that makes the wrong decision
We never
for
hear
money?
from them again.
You know they're good,
Yep.
but they're never relevant again. What are the chances that Tyreek Hill just moved himself into a higher economic class,
Yep.
but a much lower football class?
When it comes down to his legacy. And I know this to be true. A lot of guys care about their legacy. That played the prime positions. Quarterback, wide receiver specifically. Those two for sure. And I throw running back in there too because there's always one or two special ones that say, I'm different from all of y'all and watch me do work because my team allows me to do whatever I want to do. Derrick Henry's a guy like that. I think Saquon Barkley would be that way. Alvin Kamara's a little bit different. And it's just Le'Veon was one of those guys too. For me, I was always a guy, okay, where can I best thrive at? Where am I best, not necessarily comfortable, but I knew, and there was other teams on the market that wanted me to go to a certain location. And I was just like, man, they weren't really good programs, number one. And I was just like, man, that's probably going to take 2 years off of my career if I go there.
So Detroit.
It would
That'd just be an example.
Yeah, an example. I knew if I went to Detroit, like it would take like 2 probably years off of my contract. I mean, off of my career. Simply because badly run at the time, not winning a whole lot. So that takes away your love of the game. Also, and the motivation almost for yourself. The money is fine, but it's been so many times I've known guys to leave the team that I was on to go to other teams like, man, I should have stayed for less. And you want to know why? Because they were miserable. They were miserable. The checks were fine, and they would tell you, man, the money cool, but I hate the game now. And a lot of us play it because of the game. And when you get to that position where you hate the game, you're just accepting the money, you're looking for a way out at that point. So a guy like Tyreek, who was going to get the ball regardless of what was going on, and you knew he had a quarterback to give him the ball too, I think he'll look back at this. If this doesn't pan out for Tua, he's going to say, is there any way I can get out at some point? Meaning the Miami lifestyle is going to be cool for him, but it's hard playing the game, man. And because of that, it makes you want to find a way out, Jay. There was times I definitely took less to stay in Pittsburgh. Because why? I knew we were going to win. And I knew I'd get it back, and I did get it back on the back end too. Like, that's the point behind it all. But Tyreek's situation is a little bit different. Already got the ring, already got the All-Pros, already got the Pro Bowls too. But the thing is, when you're in those prime positions, running back, quarterback, wide receiver, you want your stat line. I think that's one thing with Antonio Brown right now. When he left Pittsburgh and he got the huge bag, almost, he was a day away from getting the $30 million guaranteed. He looked at Derek Carr and their situation with the Raiders. Again, not a great run organization at the time. So much so that friggin' what's his name got fired. Gruden got fired. AB left that because he saw, no, I'm not used to this. I can't deal with the fact that I'm going to make all this money, but my career is about to nosedive. Now, truth be told, found his way out, go to New England, gets cut because he had off-the-field issues. Finally goes to a place where he took less money, way less money, to go play with Tom Brady to do what, Jay?
Win a championship.
Win a championship. He took 10 times less money to go to Tampa Bay to win a championship with Tom Brady. If that doesn't speak about the understanding of what Tyreek Hill has done versus what he could have done if he stayed in Kansas City, I think that's telling more than anything for a guy that did it in real time in the current NFL right now. So, to your point about following management over the money, you got to ask yourself, how miserable can you afford to be too?
I think that the thing is impulse. Oh, well, you're going to take the money. Would you rather be rich, because you're going to have money anywhere you go in this scenario, right? Like, it's not like you're going from $5 to $5 million here. You're living in the millions if you're Tyreek Hill.
This guarantee may have been, let's say, $60 million as opposed to 72.
Okay.
What's the lifestyle difference?
Right. I don't know, because I don't even live in that universe.
I don't know that either, but I've seen guys made 3 times more than me that are broke right now too.
Because people chase the money the way that they chase the money. When there's astronomical money to be made in a lot of different locations in sports, it tells you the fatal flaw, which is you can never have enough money. Your mind just will never tell you you have enough.
Never.
You will always search for another dollar. You will always, in some cases, sell out other things in order to make that extra. And that's what Tyreek Hill has done. If it pans out, great. If it ends up that he's a success. But he left a world-class organization and a quarterback you just don't find to go play with one that might not even be a starter in this league regularly next year. And then what happens? He's close to 30, and they have to go find another guy.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to build chemistry with that guy, and you got to hope he's the right guy. What was the talk that we had about the Titans yesterday in the quarterback position? They haven't drafted well at quarterback, or they haven't had the picks to draft a quarterback at the right time with the right years. This year isn't the year to have a high pick if you need a quarterback compared to, say, last year or the year Andrew Luck and RG3 before he got hurt was out. There have been years when you could do this and other years. I look at this and I think management and money. I would rather be comfortable in a stable situation than I would have a larger bank account when I feel like at some point the money becomes Scrooge McDuck. Like if it's you're going to make $40,000 here or you're going to go to this company and make $110,000, we can have a different discussion because your lifestyle greatly changes.
That's a big gap.
I just feel like when you're in high 8 figures, 9 figures, things like that, I find it harder to see a difference. But at the same time, it's easy for me to say because nobody's ever offered me the difference. I've never been offered the first one, much less the difference. It's easy for me to say, why would you take the money? Oh, you should take this. Well, some people just want the money more than they want to win.
And I'll say this too. Cousin Andrew put this in there, and we did acknowledge that. Tyreek has already won the ring. He's 3 times All-Pro. Now, it's a matter of what he wants out of life, too. He is very accomplished in this league already. He has a reputation that's far beyond anything I'm sure they thought they were getting in Kansas City and possibly what he thought he could do, too. I was having this conversation the other day, and I was speaking about the CBA and what the NFL is and what's the differences between the NBA's Players Association versus ours too, and how the NBA is very unified in how they do business as opposed to when it comes to NFL players, man, football players in general, I think. The lifestyles are totally different. NBA players, and Ron's not going to like me saying this, but they have a better pathway. The roads are hardwood as opposed to dirt. You know what I'm saying? And I know basketball players get grimy. They get gritty. It's a tough thing to actually make it to the top to go professional in any country that you go professional in basketball. But the way they are protected and coveted, I think, is a little bit different from football because you can have a very marginal athlete in football that makes it to the NFL. I think that can be true due to a whole lot of hard work. To whereas the special guys that make it pro in the NBA or pro overseas, you know who they are. So they're protected a little bit more. In the NFL and in football, it's not necessarily that. And because of that, we as players sometimes will take the money. We'll say, screw you, I'm going to get mine. That's the reason the separation with the what they used to call the quarterback club in the early 90s was so easy. Because the quarterbacks were always separated to where we'll take care of y'all. Y'all going to get all the endorsements. Y'all going to get all the praise. And the rest of y'all figure it out. So when it comes down to saying, man, look, I want the money, I fully do understand that too. And I think you guys have seen with some of the conversations we've had as far as, man, football is a dirty, grimy game. If you don't go get yours now, they will get you in the end. And I think that's probably where Tyreek is a little bit to where the ring, the reputation, the accolades he's got. So let me go get mine. I can fully understand that. But it also goes down individually to a person too. I think Von Miller at a point got to himself and said, man, I want to be a Hall of Famer. I know for sure because I listened to the pivot with AB. AB wants to get a gold jacket, which is why he's going to have an ankle surgery to go back in and try to get and try to get onto a team again. And maybe Tom will have him signed in Tampa Bay. But if that's not your mindset and you've already hit the early success, I understand why he would go to Miami. Go get the cash.
Yeah.
Because you get washed out very, very fast in football,
Look,
too.
I don't begrudge Tyreek Hill for making the money that's out there for him to make. At the same time, I can separate that truth with this truth. I think he may have made the wrong decision.
For his career.
I'm glad he was able to make it for himself.
Personally.
I think for his football future, for the side of this that we are paid to talk about, I don't think he made a sensible football decision. He made a different decision, weighed things differently.
Yeah.
And Kansas City knew we're not going to be able to pay him the extension that he wants. We've got to get value out of him now before the whole world realizes this. You don't want a situation where you know the guy's going to be out, because then the offers drop. This came out of nowhere, folks. We were sitting in a meeting after the show, and I saw this pop up, and it was just like, wait, what? Is this a joke?
Let me ask you this, just to paint the picture of a system in which it works better for you. When Le'Veon left Pittsburgh, what happened? And with his career?
I mean, it went to crap.
What'd you hear from him after that?
Nothing. You only heard he got cut again.
Yeah.
He got picked up by Kansas City and didn't play in the Super Bowl.
Didn't play.
He went to the Jets and did precisely squat.
Probably less than 100 reps while in Kansas City, and they didn't win the Super Bowl either, because he was at a point to where he said, let me go chase a ring now. And it didn't pan out for him. Also, and this was the biggest issue with him going free agency and going to the Jets too. The deal they ended up initially getting offered from Pittsburgh was exactly the same, if not more. And also, is this the other side of it too? New York, and New Jersey taxes are way higher. So I ain't saying he lost money, but I'm just saying to myself, there was more opportunity for your legacy and your pockets to be done in Pennsylvania as opposed to New York. You know, and then you find them going from team to team, really trying to jump on somewhere. Got signed this past year to the Bucks, and they cut him. So as far as legacy for guys that honestly chased it a little bit, that's a real crappy decision to be made. But again, I understand why the money becomes a thing at a certain point too, because football forces you into that. I'm going to go get mine. I've heard guys all the time, now I'm going to go get this cash, you know, and then you never hear from him again. Another one of my former teammates, and they couldn't afford to pay him at the time, was Mike Wallace. He turned down the $46 million.
Went to Miami, right?
Yeah, and went to Miami. And he bet on himself. Miami gave him 72. But I think Mike did 3 years there and then went to Minnesota and
you
then
didn't
went
hear
to
a whole lot from him
Baltimore.
after he left either.
You see what I'm saying? So it depends on what you're looking for. Again, the comfort of sitting at home and looking at your bank account and saying 9 figures, I'm sure it's an enjoyable feeling, you know? Or 8 figures, whatever it is. And that's just part of the hustle of it. So if I ask you right now, is Tyreek Hill a Hall of Famer, what would you say?
Right now?
Yeah.
No.
Do you think he want to be one also?
Yeah.
You know?
I assume so.
Yeah.
But this doesn't get him closer to that, because he's not LeBron James where he can go and lead
and control
anywhere
it.
he goes.
Yeah.
He's a wide receiver in a quarterback's league. How many wide receivers have tremendous power in the NFL?
AB, I remember watching him. Maybe Devontae.
Maybe.
Who else has that much power to control what's coming their way? Because most of these veteran guys that are really good got veteran quarterbacks, and they know they got to spread the ball around. Not even Mike Evans in Tampa. I don't think necessarily it was like, I need the ball. Tom just made sure to spread it around, and he got enough touches and catches. But not necessarily the power to control it. It ain't many. Maybe Devontae going to frigging Las Vegas.
Maybe. The one thing that you have to say about a wide receiver is a wide receiver is dependent upon another player to get him the implement that's actually used in the sport to make him a star.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't get the ball from center.
No.
Tyreek Hill has to get the ball from Tua or from Teddy Bridgewater, or certainly, as we've seen very effectively, from Patrick Mahomes. The guy that controls the ball controls the power.
Mm-hmm.
That's why give me the damn ball was a thing. That's why Keyshawn wanted it. It's why T.O. wanted it all the time. It's why wide receivers become the way that they become in so many cases, because I don't care how good you are. If the ball's not coming your way, it doesn't matter.
It don't matter, yeah.
It doesn't matter. So I think that's part of this as well. 615-737-1045. Your thoughts we will certainly take on the Tyreek Hill situation. I think we're also about to get another really fascinating topic.
Uh-oh.
And that is Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes are two of the it dudes. Two of the three it dudes at quarterback in this league and have been for the last 4 or 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
How big a litmus test are we going to see for both of them now that Tyreek Hill and Devontae Adams are both gone? Are we going to have a debate? Was it the quarterback or was it the wide receiver? How much of it was the system?
Mm-hmm.
Just like Belichick and Brady, this is going to be fascinating because you just had 2 of the 5 best receivers in the league change within a week and leave what we believe to be Hall of Fame quarterbacks in both cases. This league just doesn't stop.
No.
It's so much fun to watch all of this. It's JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone.
Mortgage interest rates are starting to tick up, but the guys at Home Loan Expert are still locking in their clients in historic low rates, all right? So if you've been sitting on the fence to get a refi, or if you haven't gotten your pre-approved home loan locked in, now it's the time. Like, you got to stop waiting for a lower rate, because if you've been watching the news, they won't stick around for much longer. The interest rates right now are still sitting decently low, okay? But we need to get you locked in like today. By refinancing your 30-year mortgage with the Home Loan Expert, you can save hundreds, if not thousands of dollars a month with a simple refi. And it can lower your monthly payments. It can also give you cash to pay off debt and have you skip a few mortgage payments. So if you've been looking to expand your home or make some much-needed home improvements, then make your largest asset, your house, work for you with a cash-out refi through the Home Loan Expert. Last year, also, the average homeowner got back $52,000 out of their refi. So if you've been sitting at home for months, you know this. People are looking at homes, and those homes are selling fast. Getting pre-approved, though, is key to finding your dream home. At thehomeloanexpert.com, they can lock in your interest rate, project your payments, and get you pre-qualified. So when you find that right home, you can submit that offer and close on your dream home. TheHomeLoanExpert.com are doing more home loans than ever and are closing purchases in less than 21 days. So don't wait. 21-day closing guarantee. Visit TheHomeLoanExpert.com.
It is the JMart and Ramon radio program on this Thursday. So, yeah, that was the question we were talking about before the break. We talked about money and management, chasing management, money being Colin Cowherd's belief, and I think there's a lot to that. Are you going to, if the top law firm is going to pay you less than the bottom law firm in your city, but you're going to be in an environment where you know there's going to be validation, you know you're going to win in many cases. There's going to be a chance for advancement. Imagine being a partner in the most powerful law firm a few years down the road, as opposed to taking the piddly job that can, for whatever reason, decides to just break the bank to pay you more. But what is that going to be 2 or 3 years from now?
Yeah.
And we can't evaluate the Tyreek Hill scenario yet. We don't know. We do know that the quarterback concern there is much different than I think it is in Vegas with Derek Carr. Because I can look at Derek Carr, Kirk Cousins, and I think that right there is fairly where you can put Ryan Tannehill. It's right in that mix with a Derek Carr, with a Kirk Cousins, with a player like that, where there are some things to like, no question about it. And at times they can really look the part. I think Dak is in that mix as well.
Yeah.
All those guys are very similar. Tua's not in that class yet. And many people believe he's never going to be in that class. Tyreek Hill can be as fast as lightning. But if the quarterback can't get him the ball when he needs it, where he needs it at the time, how effective can he be? But the bigger question is just Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers have gotten a ton of credit, deservedly so, for what they've done. But they've both lost massive weapons here.
Mm-hmm.
Kelsey, what are his stats going to look like without Tyreek Hill out there? It's going to be different, right?
Because Juju's a one-on-one defender.
Yeah.
You only need one. I'm sorry. I love you, Juju, but it's only one-on-one there.
Yeah. I mean, he's closer to a 2.
Yeah.
He's a 1.5, 2. He's not really a 1. He's a great 2. But Tyreek Hill and Devontae Adams have the opportunity to change the narrative about whether a quarterback makes a wide receiver or a wide receiver makes a quarterback.
Right. And we'll have to have a bigger discussion about this too, because we talked a little bit off air about what do you prefer with the quarterback? You know, do you want the Hall of Famer, or you got to pay him $45 million a year?
Mm-hmm.
And I brought up the fact that, look, these two departures, Devontae and Cheetah, Tyreek Hill, is a direct result of the quarterback getting about 25% of the salary cap. When you pay your quarterback who's that doggone good, that much money, you're going to have to find sacrifices somewhere, or you're going to have a really good scouting department that brings in a lot of good young talent. On the other side of that, though, Jay, you got what? Do you want a middle-of-the-road guy where you can go get guys to surround him with? I know Derek Carr, is highly paid, but he ain't the highest paid.
No.
They were able to sign Devontae, but probably because of his contract. I think the same is probably going to be with Dak. And Cleveland's going to have some issues by giving Deshaun that much. Like, you're not afforded unless you're going to go into cap. What are they going to cap death at some point?
I'll ask the question this way, because that was an excellent question you asked, and the way I responded to during the break is this, and we'll say it this way, and then we got Jim Wyatt coming up at the top of the hour, and we'll take some more calls, but we get a little bit busy here in this fourth hour. Would you rather have, out there listening, would you rather have an A-plus quarterback if it then meant pretty quickly you were going to have a lot of C-level talent, C-minus level talent around him? Or would you rather have all B's on that report card? Would you rather have I'm not saying a low quarterback, but an average to just barely above average guy where you could surround them with a lot of talent? Because that's what you're seeing. Mahomes' money, as it gets more and more expensive year after year, is going to cost them more players. We know what Aaron Rodgers' deal is going to do. We see what that is. So do you wager everything for the A-plus quarterback and expect he's going to bring the level of play up on everybody else, and you're going to have to potentially bring in lower guys? Or would you rather have a report card with all B's on it? We'll have Jim Wyatt on the other side. We'll talk to him about Robert Woods and what he thought of that press conference and what he thinks of some of these moves, including this Tyreek Hill move, which we've been talking about all morning long. That's after the headlines. JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. So I don't know if you know this. There's a frost advisory tomorrow night. That's a thing. So is your heating system working? I know it's a weird thing to ask at this point because you felt like it's warm. It's going to be beautiful out today, but it's still cold here, and you certainly want to go ahead and get it taken care of. And if you're looking at your HVAC, then you're looking at both heating and cooling. But if it's around 10 years old, if it's not providing great air quality, if it's working too hard, then you're paying too much money for not enough result. So if it's time to replace your heating system, your friends at Lee Company are making that easier than ever. Call today. Take advantage of Lee Company's exceptional HVAC financing offer. You'll get special financing for up to 60 months. My math tells me that's 5 years. Special financing for up to 5 years or up to $1,250 off select high-efficiency systems. So you're saving the $1,250. High efficiency means you're going to be saving on the back end because it's not going to be overworking and your energy costs are going to be better. Call Lee Company today. Learn all about their current financing and service special offers and do it here. 615-567-1000. That's 567-1000 or online at leecompany.com/promotions.
It is 9 o'clock. Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer. The NCAA tournament continues with the first four games of the Sweet 16. Arkansas versus Gonzaga. Michigan versus Villanova. Wishing it was going to be Tennessee, but that didn't work out. Texas Tech versus Duke. Houston versus Arizona. Our coverage, courtesy of Westwood One, resumes at 6 o'clock tonight. Other basketball news, Middle Tennessee lost to UNC Wilmington 96-90 in double overtime in the final of the CBI. The Blue Raiders did have a great season, though. 26-11 record, a 21-game increase in terms of victories from the previous season. Women's NIT, Vanderbilt at Middle Tennessee. 6:30 tip at the Murphy Center tonight. NBA Grizz all over the Nets, 132-120. Kyrie Irving, 43 points in the loss for the Nets, but the Grizz got their 50th win of the season. Kansas City Chiefs traded 6-time Pro Bowl wide receiver Tyreek Hill to the Miami Dolphins for 5 draft picks. First rounder, second rounder, and fourth rounder this year, plus fourth and sixth round picks in 2023. And the Tennessee Titans agreed to terms on one-year contracts with special teamers and linebackers Hollywood, Dylan Cole, also Ola Adeni getting a new deal. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
What's happening? What's happening around here is the fourth hour of JMart and Ramon here, 104.5 The Zone. It's all Four Seasons Garage Doors that makes it possible. It's Ramon Foster that talks. It's Jonathan Schaefer that talks and pushes buttons. It's me that talks when one of them is not talking. At Ramon Foster, at Schaefer on Sports, at JMart Radio, at JMart and Ramon. That pretty much covers it. You can follow the station, of course, at 104.5 The Zone. To the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline. Haven't talked to this guy in a while. Jim Wyatt of Titans Online is on the line with us. Jimmy, hope the new year is treating you well. How are you?
I'm doing good. Hope you guys are doing well.
Yeah, I can't really complain. So we're going to ask about a lot of things here during this conversation regarding the NFL, obviously. But let's talk about Robert Woods first. Not that it was a surprise based on everything that we had already known about Robert Woods, but you pretty much have to give his opening media availability with the Titans an A+. If you wanted to hear something, he probably said it, and he said it in a very articulate, just kind of Titan-ish way, did he not?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think he's first-class guy, first-class player. I think you could tell, and I think we knew from afar, whether when he was in Buffalo or whether he was when he was in L.A., that he was a guy that people respected, not only his teammates, but the people who played against him. And hearing Mike Vrabel rave about him leading up to that game against the Rams, it kind of tells you what people think about him on tape, and then you see Cooper Kupp and his tribute to him when he leaves, kind of tells you, gives you a little bit more insight about what he's like as a leader and a teammate. And, listening to him talk yesterday, I couldn't help but think this guy fits perfectly what the Titans are all about. And I think he's going to be a really good player. I think he's going to be a really good leader. And I think he's going to be someone that they're going to be able to count on week in and week out, which should take pressure off of Ryan Tannehill and A.J. Brown and Derrick Henry and really make the offense a lot better. But, yeah, I was really impressed with him and just what kind of pro he is.
How much of the calculus about, and you just kind of said it there in your answer, how much of the calculus about this offseason for John Robinson is finding more ways to make Ryan Tannehill more comfortable, to take some of it off of his back? Obviously, he's the one that's taken the brunt of the verbal assault, I think, from the fans because of the playoff loss. And I do think that John Robinson wants to make sure that he gives him absolutely every possible way to succeed this coming season.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a big part of it, and certainly Ryan knows that the playoff game didn't go well, and threw 3 interceptions, and I'm sure he's beating himself up over that. And you look at his stats for the season, and they weren't great compared to what they were the previous couple of seasons. Some of that is on him, and he's got to play better. But I think some of it is what he had around him. Because in a perfect world, they would have had A.J. Brown out there, and they would have had Julio Jones out there, and they would have had his offensive line out there week in and week out. But I think we all know that didn't happen. And he was throwing to some guys he didn't have a lot of great comfort level with, because he hadn't worked with them a lot. He had some young guys he was throwing to. The tight. I'm not going to throw a bunch of shade at the tight ends, but the fact that we're sitting here in March the 24th and they're already better at tight end than they were last year because of this Austin Hooper tells you that position wasn't as dynamic as maybe a quarterback would like it to be. So he had to work through some of that as well. So I think definitely, they're going to make Ryan Tannehill's job better. They've already done that by adding Robert Woods and Austin Hooper. We still got the draft to go. I still think they could potentially still plug some holes and bring in some more guys for depth and competition. But, better players all around them, the better the quarterback's going to be.
And that's what I was going to ask, as far as bringing in guys and just really solidifying this roster. It doesn't really get set until the first week of the season. One group in particular I'm really looking at is this offensive line. I know we got Taylor. I know we got Ben. I think Nate is there also. How do we look at these last two spots, man, with either Dylan Radunz right there or Aaron Brewer filling those holes? And not just that, the depth of that position also.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question because I don't think anyone really knows how it's going to play out. I mean, Radunz could be the starting guard. He could be the starting tackle. Brewer, I do think is a contender at that guard spot, just because I think everyone has liked his his approach and the way he's played when he's had a chance. Now that spot is kind of open. Jamarco Jones is going to factor in to some degree, but we're not really sure where yet. I know David Quisenberry is not currently on the roster, but he's still out there, and we'll see what happens in the draft and maybe what happens as free agency goes on. But until he's on another team, I think you got to still consider him as a possibility at least, and then you start looking at more players, more options, more possibilities there. So I still think a lineman's in play with that first pick. I think a receiver's in play with that first pick, and really based on how that goes could really determine what things how they end up shaking out up front.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, in the ideal world, I think everybody's really expecting Todd Downing to kind of do what Shane Bowen did last year. I don't want to call, last year his first trial run, because you don't get trial runs in the NFL when it comes to getting hired to be an offensive coordinator. But the amount of, the steps that he's got to take this year to lead this offense from the sideline, it's got to be a big one, right?
Yeah, I think so. And I'm going to throw Tim Kelly's name out there. Not that I'm going to say he's coming here to save the day, but
okay.
I think just like Jim Schwartz helped on defense, I do think Tim Kelly's going to help. Bring some more ideas and do some things on the offensive end. It's still going to be Todd Downing's show. And if this offense is going to get fixed and be better, not that it was broken last year, but it didn't perform up to expectations, and it wasn't as smooth as it had been. Some of that was personnel. Maybe some of it was because of an adjustment period with the change. But I think the combination of Todd being in year 2 here, the combination of him maybe having improved personnel, the combination of throwing Tim Kelly into the mix, and I do think there's reason to believe things will be better, and it is on him to make it better because it kind of stops with him. I mean, on defense you got a lot of guys who have their hands in on things, from Bowen to Vrabel to Schwartz. On the offensive side of the ball, Mike Vrabel lets Todd Downing do his thing, and certainly he's going to get input now from Kelly, and this guy's got to figure out a way to make things be a little bit smoother.
Jim, furthering that point, how much credit does Jim Schwartz deserve for what the defense did last year? Like, what was his impact in the building? What was his impact on Shane Bowen? Like, it's kind of hard from afar to know what his role actually was, where it started, where it stopped. What insight can you give us on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to know from inside, not only from afar, but from inside the building. You know, for me, hard to know exactly sure what his role was. But I'm going to give Shane Bowen the credit for, if he's taking the blame, you know, for 2020, I think he deserves the credit for 2021. I think Schwartz obviously had an influence and had an impact on what they did, but just how much, I would just be speculating like everybody else if I said exactly what he was doing from week to week. I saw him on the practice fields. You know, I saw him, you know, at all the games, except for maybe he missed one because of COVID protocols. But it was still, I think, Shane Bowen who deserves credit for the turnaround.
Yeah, and looking at the outlook of this AFC side of things.
Oh, boy.
I know. Everybody almost to a T is making moves, man. The path for the Titans is making it to the playoffs is always, for sure, you want to win your division. But with Matt Ryan up north a little bit, man, how do you see this back and forth going between these two on the early parts of this offseason?
Well, I've already kind of get the sense that people maybe look at the Colts as the favorite. I mean, nationally, I think the people look at the Colts now as the favorite in the AFC South. I don't know that I agree with that.
Right.
You know, when the Texans have won back-to-back titles, they got the defense back intact. You know, the Titans have made some moves on offense that I think, you know, are going to make them better, and they're not done yet. So I do think it's going to be a two-team race. I mean, because the Texans obviously got the things to figure out. Jacksonville, I think, is going to continue to get better with a new coach, but they're not going to be in position to compete with the Titans and the Colts. I think it's going to be competitive. I mean, I don't think it's going to be like it was last year where, you know, you got the division clinched with, you know, with a little breathing room. I think the Colts can be better. I think Matt Ryan's going to make them better. And I think they were good to begin with. I mean, I don't know exactly what happened in the last year in Jacksonville. Obviously, everything fell apart late in the season, but they were a good team and could run the ball and play good defense. So, I mean, it was a good team to begin with, and now you got a quarterback who I think you maybe trust a little bit more. I think that makes him even more of a contender.
Jim, what was more surprising to you, Deshaun where he ended up, Devontae getting moved, Tyreek Hill getting moved yesterday? Of those three moves, I think we all thought Russell Wilson might end up somewhere, and maybe you thought Deshaun was going to end up somewhere. So maybe it's one of the wide receiver moves. But which one just kind of took you aback the most?
Yeah, I mean, it's just one right after that. Every one of those you named was one of those jaw dropper. I mean, because I expected Deshaun to go to either the Saints or the Falcons. So when he ends up in the AFC, I was very surprised with that. The Devontae Adams deal, I mean, I figured because Aaron Rodgers was going back to Green Bay that he would have his sidekick there with him. So the fact he leaves, goes to the Raiders, couldn't believe that. And then yesterday, I mean, I personally am glad to see Tyreek Hill leave the Chiefs. I know you guys were talking about it earlier, but, you know, you take him away from Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, and you weaken the Chiefs, and you put them on a team that now has some question marks at quarterback, and can they utilize him and take advantage of what he does like the Chiefs did? You have to show me first, because I don't think he'll be as effective there as he was in Kansas City. But all of those were jaw droppers to me. I think probably the biggest one was Deshaun, just because I thought he'd be an NFC guy and not have to deal with him as much. And unfortunately, the Titans and everybody in the AFC is going to have to worry about that as well.
I've seen you wear a lot of visors, Jim. I've seen the Dodgers, and I don't want to have a conversation with you about that because I'm still salty about Freddie Freeman. But Vanderbilt's logo, I've seen that on your visor before. How excited are you to purchase a new one with the new Vanderbilt logo?
I'm actually got my Vandy Star V visor on right now as we speak. And I won't be wearing that new logo. I'll wear the Star V visor, and I'm gonna try to buy as much merchandise before it goes out of
style. I mean, I feel like I'm piling. I feel bad because I feel like I'm piling on at this point because when the logo change came out, I usually keep my feelings to myself, but I didn't like it, and I said, "Hey, no thanks. I'm sticking with the Star V," and I've probably said more than I.
yeah, Jim. You don't have to
because I like a lot of people over there, but it just doesn't it just doesn't make sense. I mean, I know I've heard them say they want to be different by going with this new logo, and when I see a V as the primary logo, that's not different. I mean, Virginia's got a V, Villanova's got a V, Valparaiso's got the V in there. When I wear this logo that I have, the Star V logo, and I travel and people see it and they say, "Oh, it's Vanderbilt," and it kind of strikes up a conversation. People know Vanderbilt from the Star V logo. I think it's a classic. And then now when I'm wearing this, well, I will be wearing that new visor, so it won't come into play. But I'm just saying, people are not going to recognize that the same way. That could be a number of teams, or it could be a high school team in Missouri, and it's not going to stand out like the Star V. So I will continue to wear the Star V merchandise. Hopefully, they still make it available. And I hope it's at midfield of the football stadium, and I hope it's at center court at the basketball stadium.
I'm with
Jim. Jim, that's good stuff, buddy. I don't know what else to say. You don't have to be petty about it. We'll be petty about it for you. You. Good luck on finding all the merch that you can find. I don't think we're ever going to see Jim Wyatt in the V is a staple remover logo hat anytime soon. But Jim, that's awesome. That's fantastic.
And I'll say this. I mean, I think Tim Corbin certainly can put any logo that he wants in anything they do, because whatever he does, I think, is proven to be right. And I'll say this. They could put the logo on there upside down. I've said this before, and I'll still be supporting Vandy like I have since I was a kid. I'll just be doing it with my Star V merchandise on.
That's a version of Bless Your Heart that you just gave Vanderbilt right there. I'm just kidding, Jim. You're the best. We appreciate the time, as always. Thank you.
Okay, you have a good week. Thank you.
Indeed. Save that answer. I didn't realize we were igniting that flame for 3 minutes.
Whew.
Jim had points. He had a take on that.
You know what?
He just went.
And here's the thing. He's not wrong.
Hearing him talk, he ain't even mad no more.
He's accepted. He's past the 5 stages.
He ain't mad no more.
He's in the 6th stage.
He just side eyes him.
How bad did you screw up when Jim Wyatt's coming at your neck?
Yeesh.
I never want that. This guy.
By the way, don't forget, though, he loves a lot of people over there.
What I was going to chime in with.
That's the bless your heart point.
What I was going to chime in with is, I love you guys. Hopefully you love me. I treat you all like garbage, and you treat me like the same way. So it's like, I don't mean nothing.
Look, I'm going to let you finish, but that Vanderbilt logo is the worst logo of all time.
He ain't even mad no more.
We go straight from Jim Wyatt to Coach Mack on the other side.
Yes!
He knows a little bit about Robert Woods. Actually knows a lot about Robert Woods. We'll talk to him about that next. It's JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone.
Business owners, are you feeling boxed in by the pressures of running your business, managing remote workforces, keeping up with changing regulations and HR compliance, hiring and retaining top talent, or handling payroll? The list goes on if you didn't know. There's a limit to what you can do to keep employees engaged while running your business smoothly. Fortunately, there's Insperity. They put 30-plus years of HR experience to work to help you develop a people strategy that supports your business strategy, focusing on the health of your organization. What if your HR strategy included access to better benefits to help you keep the employees you have and also attract new ones? What if it also offered training for your employees to increase their skills so that they become more productive? There will always be challenges to face in business, and no matter where they come from, Insperity is ready to help you move past them by providing the HR solutions you need. With Insperity, nothing seems impossible. Insperity, HR that makes a difference. So visit their website at insperity.com.
No. Almost, Schaefer. I wore white. I wore white and then got salsa that I don't even really need.
Man. Boy, for a second, I thought we had maximum violence in the studio.
Oh, it almost happened. By the way, the new win is block getting off IR is to just walk up to Jim Wyatt anytime you see him and be like, hey, man, I haven't heard, but what are your thoughts on the new Vanderbilt logo?
Jim doesn't seem like a violent
That's
man.
new. When does Adoree get off IR?
By the way, Malcolm Butler, back to the Patriots.
Back to the scene of the crime.
Yeah, no doubt.
Plan on Farm Bureau Health Plans for better coverage, better rates, and better customer service. They've been providing Tennesseans with the home field advantage for almost 75 years. My math tells me that's 3/4 of a century, which is about as long as this guy's been associated with the National Football League. Our pal, Coach Mack, Titans Radio, Dave McGinnis on the line. Coach, what's going on?
What
That's not a stray.
Come on.
Coach, good morning.
Good morning, Coach.
I take that as a compliment.
Right. Exactly. Yes! So the NFL is wild, Coach. I don't know if you're aware. A lot of things are happening. They're always happening. I want to ask you about Robert Woods first. I know you know him very, very well. I thought he just knocked his comments out of the park yesterday and backed up everything that we have heard about him throughout his career, that he's just an A1 guy and should be a wonderful addition to this team.
Yeah, JMart, that's what you hear from everybody. He came out in that 2013 draft, right? I mean, that's the DeAndre Hopkins. I'm trying to think of receivers in that draft. Was DeAndre Hopkins was in that draft? Tavon Austin. I think Justin Hunter was in there from Tennessee, right?
Mm-hmm.
The 2013 draft. But Robert Woods, when you vetted his film there at Southern Cal, just talking about him structurally on the field, I mean, he was a complete receiver. And he really did it all, and they used him in several different ways. But he was a guy that you knew, and then plus, when you vetted him and talked to him at a combine or talked to him at a school workout, and then you talk to the people around USC, could say nothing but great things about his character as a human being, and clearly, that is proven out. He's been a really good professional, since he came into this league with Buffalo. He was a big contributor, when Sean McVay and those guys at the Rams brought him out there. And to me, this is the kind of guy that you want on your team. Everything that you hear about him from other people, and not even talking football, is what you intimated about, JMart, about the type of person that he is. I did not hear the press conference. Clearly, that came through in the press conference. I've heard that from you and from other people that I've talked to yesterday that said he just, was exemplified exactly what they thought he was. But I think it's not hard for him to be that, because that's genuinely who he is. You talk about football-wise, too. He's a physical dude that doesn't mind sticking his head in there, and he doesn't mind getting dirty with what's going on with the game either. I think he'll be a really, really nice addition. He hurt that ACL. I talked to the people out there at the Rams in practice. He hurt it in practice and really just, making kind of an innocuous cut and continued to practice, even after it was done. So I think it's been designated as a clean ACL, which some of those ACLs get a lot of other ligaments and a lot of other structures around it injured. That wasn't it. So, looking forward to seeing him out there on the field as soon as he can be out there. I know he will help this football team, and he's a type of person that the structure up there is about. I mean, that's what he is.
I was looking at those wide receivers that came out that year. You mentioned DeAndre Hopkins. Keenan Allen was in that draft.
There you go.
Cordero Patterson, who, of course, reemerged last year with the Falcons. And you mentioned Justin Hunter was there, even down the list. Marcus Wheaton, who I know Moan knows very, very well. Marquise Goodwin, who he couldn't stay healthy, but he had a lot. Kenny Stills, Denard Wright. It was a deep draft. That was a deep crop of guys that year.
Yeah.
JMart, just remembering it, and again, I've been through a few drafts, but they all kind of stand out for one way or the other. The thing I remember about that draft, as far as receiver-wise, I think there were over 20 receivers taken in that draft. Wow. I could be wrong, but somewhere between 24, 25, 26 receivers were taken in that draft to magnify your point on that.
Coach, man, just, hearing Robert Woods and his presser and what the team got him for, what was a 6th-round pick, you just got to feel that was some really extreme dealing right there to be able to get a guy with this high of a value who seems to me, man, most of the times you get a free agent or you trade for a guy, he's got to fit into your team. But it seems like with him, he's going to bring a lot of culture of what he's done in his career and the spots that he's been at, Coach Mack, to be like, yeah, now this is another step in this Titans organization for this era that we've gotten that much better.
You know what? It reminded me a little bit, just personality-wise, when I was here coaching, and we brought David Thornton in, and we brought Chris Hope in, and we brought Kevin Mawai in from the outside, and those were guys that didn't come in and they didn't try to impose their will nor their leadership on anything. What they did is just came in and went to work. They went to work and then immediately garnered the respect of the players that were here. And you've been in the locker room, and you've been in the locker room for a long time, at this level. That's the way you gain respect in this business, is you come in and you just go to work. And then all of a sudden what you do daily, not only, when you're physically working, but what you do daily in the building, what you do in the meeting rooms, how you interact in that locker room, that is what starts getting, the respect of your teammates. And I think I don't know him personally, but I just mentioning those 3 guys that I had been around that we brought in as free agents when I was coaching, that's how they did it. And it ended up being pretty good for the team.
Coach Mack, so we have AJ and we got Robert Woods, and a good receiving course got like 3 or 4, maybe 5 guys for sure. The next guy that comes to mind to me is Nick Westbrook-Akina, and just watching him and just how available he was last year, and I really felt like he was very dependable on his role that he played. But as far as shoring up a fan base and just saying, NWY is one of us also, to where y'all need to respect him. You need to watch him do work, and he's a very important part of this offense and this team. When does that start to click for a fan base that's watching a guy develop like this, Coach?
Well, I don't think you can make anybody like anybody. They just have to go to work. I mean, we were talking about him. You guys remember this. We did things with you when Amy and I and Mike went down to Tampa Bay for that week that we worked. He had a great week down there. I mean, all he's done is take advantage of his chance here, and has worked.
Right.
He'll be a part of it, and they're still not through with that receiver room yet either. I don't believe this is an ongoing process. But I mean, he produced last year, and he produced sometimes at a time as to when. Again, we don't need to reiterate it and repeat it and go back over old news, but once you start sifting through 91 players every week, there's certain guys that had to step up and prop up things, when things were getting that thin, and he was one of them.
Yeah, he was. And, Mac, the other part of it, too, is we're still in the NFL offseason, of course, but the fan base or just people who cover the team like us get a little antsy about what is this team going to look like, Coach? Inside those coaches' rooms and those meeting rooms and conference rooms that you guys have had and you've been a part of, where do you guys start to feel, okay, now we're getting our roster? Because there's still some incomplete parts about this team that's got to be filled out, as you said.
Yeah, not yet, JMart. I mean, Ramon, not yet for both of you. This is an ongoing process. All these coaches are scattered around the country now with the scouts and with John Robinson, doing all of these workouts. The way the National Football League is now constructed, you're never finished. You're always constantly, even during the season, you're always constantly chumming the waters for players,
right?
Because that's just the nature of this league now. So you don't ever feel content and set, and you can't. It's just not what the nature of this beast is that we're all in. You start putting some pieces together. They go out and get first of all, they had no tight ends to begin with in the off season. And then all of a sudden, now they've got 2. They will have more. You just continue to add, but it's something that it comes, and it's got a particular schedule that it's on. And so, yeah, I understand, and I understand, and I understand, and I really do. But I've done talks around the city last week, just being asked to speak to groups, and when you start explaining what's going on, and especially because of the way free agency is, the National Football League now, and the way the money and the salary cap is, you've got a lot of people changing teams. This is the most quarterbacks that's ever flipped and changed teams. But, it's because of the salary cap. And that's because you had a truncated cap, that you had some deals that were made before the cap was truncated. And so, people are having to make financial decisions. Some places are just, done. Sometimes there's just a divorce. That happens too. But everybody's anxious because everybody cares. Everybody in their market cares about their teams, and so they're always anxious about what it's going to be. But it's not going to be complete for a while yet.
Right. The AFC is really deep. We know that.
Yeah.
It's very complex. It's going to be complex. It's going to be tough. It's going to be hard to try and predict, and maybe the right thing to do is not try to predict it. Just evaluate it week after week. Matt Ryan in Indianapolis, what do you think he brings to them that would make them more formidable on the field and off?
Well, they've got a good team anyway, right, JMart? And I think it just brings them more stability there because, look, Carson Wentz was brought in there at the behest of the head coach. That's the only reason they made that move, to bring him in there last year. He really felt like, because of the success he had with him in Philly, that he could rehabilitate him, if that's the right word, back to his game. Well, it didn't work. It got very, very uneven, and it got to a point as to where it was just not livable for either one of them at the time. So they cut their losses after 1 year. Matt Ryan has been a very steady performer for 14 years in the National Football League. Mm-hmm. Has never been a guy, to my knowledge, and again, I've been in this league, when he came in, and so I know. He's not been a guy that's ever brought a lot of attention to himself. Very, very workmanlike. Has been on some good teams there in Atlanta. Has weathered through some not so good teams. But I think it brings just a little bit more stability because really Carson Wentz was so up and down. I thought that they probably on the interior up there were wondering what they were going to get week to week to week, and finally it just became untenable for both parties. So I think he brings a little bit more stability to them. They still got a good football team. Mm-hmm. They were a good football team with Carson Wentz being as erratic as he was. So they're still a good football team.
Coach, the Tyreek Hill trade yesterday, I think some people may think they overpaid for him, but it is what it is when it comes down to it. But I just never thought I'd see a wide receiver, get a one. And I know the talent is very unique, but that was a hefty price to be paid, Coach Mack, when it comes down to acquiring a wide receiver. Or am I a little off on that?
No, you're right. But look, you really can't equating. And again, I answered questions in some of the events I was asked to speak to the last week. Yeah. Is somebody worth that? I said, here's what you're worth in the National Football League as an athlete or as a coach. What are clubs willing to pay you?
Facts.
That's what you're worth. It's just like their draft slot. Was he worth a number one pick? Well, if that team picked him, he was to them. All right. And so the numbers, you can't get caught up in that. And I think that was a great example of, you think Andy Reid wanted to lose Tyreek Hill? He didn't want, they couldn't pay him. His agent, Drew Rosenhaus, they wanted to be, once the deal was, he wanted to be the highest paid receiver in the league. Well, they've got high paid players there now. You can't pay every player on your team the premium price for their position. The salary cap will not allow it. And so they had to make a choice. Mm-hmm. And so by making that choice, they had a team that was willing to give up draft picks both this year and next year, to be able to bring him in there. Will he be as successful in Miami? I don't know. He still had the same skill set, but will it work? So much of it is chemistry as far as to how you work with that team where you are. And so to me, that surprised me a little bit because I really thought that they could probably, if he had to have forced his way out of there by saying he wasn't playing unless he was going to be the highest paid receiver in the league, he could have still been at Kansas City, but clearly he wanted to make all the money he could make right now. And they had one team that was, I'm not sure not every team was willing to do that. One team was willing to do that, and so that's where he is.
Coach, I think there's also something to the point of Kansas City realized they weren't going to be able to match the extension number that he was going to ask for, but
Correct.
the rest of the league might not have caught up to that yet. And there's something to being able to catch people off guard. Once you know an asset is distressed, once you know an asset is out there in that way, it just seems to me now's when you get the value for him, because once you realize there's contract disputes and all of that goes public, I think his value drops significantly, and then the return drops as well.
Well, it's a balancing act. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the same thing's happening right now to Baker Mayfield at Cleveland. I mean, exactly the same thing. You know, when it all started, when his sandpaper with that organization started, you know, this off season, there were about, you know, possible 5 or 6 quarterback landing spots because of the musical chairs that was going on, and all of a sudden they're none. Yeah. You know, and so it's kind of a balancing act that both sides have to play.
Mac, real quick about the Baker thing.
Yeah.
How do you get out of that situation right now? As devalued as he is, he's still on the roster. You've guaranteed another quarterback, the highest guarantee you've ever had in the NFL. How do you honestly remove yourself? Other than I think they can only cut him at this point, Coach Mac.
Well, they won't cut him, but they'll sooner or later. Look, you've got to sit at the table and you got to hold your cards. Sooner or later, they will get something for him.
Okay.
They started off by saying they wanted a number one, right?
Right.
Well, all of my sources say, and I'm not digging on this. I'm not an investigative reporter. I'm not trying to break any news or a hot take. You know, that's not what I do. That's not my job. Mm-hmm. But I know the people that I talk to, they've come off a number one pick that they want for him. They'll end up still trading him, but it'll be for less than what it was to begin with.
Gotcha.
Good stuff, Coach. We appreciate it as always, brother. We'll talk to you next week.
Guys, please quit stirring Jim Wyatt up. It takes a lot to get Jim Wyatt stirred up. You two should be ashamed of yourselves.
Did you hear that? My man got more emotional as it went along.
Well, I didn't hear it, but Shafe always tells me what you guys are talking about before I come on, and I said, it takes a lot to get Jim Wyatt stirred up. I mean, and so both of you guys should not be proud of yourselves.
That was un-American, Coach Mac.
My mom's disappointed.
That's un-American.
Thank you, Coach. My parents are disappointed in me today.
Why?
I set Jim Wyatt off. I didn't set him off. Vanderbilt set him off.
You just peel back the Band-Aid again.
Wait till they hear the show promo.
Wait till we replay that answer.
Well, we're going to talk about it.
It's JMart. We're going to do what, Mon?
Talk about it.
JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone.
Imagine if the first way we did things was the only way we did them, like keep a logo, and it just stayed that way for what felt like forever. That's what happens, though, when you sell your home. You list your house, and you got to keep it show-rated because you never know when somebody want to come by for what they like to call a quick look, or you have dozens of people marching through your home that may or may not be serious about buying, and this goes on and on until the right buyer comes along. Well, that's all ended right now thanks to Open Door, and it's Ramon Foster. I want to tell you what I did. I went to opendoor.com, and I put in my address and home info, and I got an offer back in my email in no time. Open Door takes a look at your house along with recent sales in your neighborhood to come up with a very competitive offer, a real offer. And it's no listings, no strangers, no stress, and a real competitive offer in minutes. Just go to opendoor.com/WGFX and get your free offer. Open Door is the new way to sell without all the hassles of a traditional home selling. You'll know how much you'll get, and you can close when you are ready, and you can do everything online. Go to opendoor.com/WGFX and get your free offer today. That's opendoor.com/WGFX. And offer eligibility varies, and Open Door is represented by Open Door Brokerage, Inc. License 020611130 in California. Open Door Brokerage, LLC, and its other markets.
And the Purdue Boilermakers have knocked off the Tennessee Volunteers in overtime at the Music City Bowl.
I'm proud of these guys, man. I really am. Disappointed in tonight. The journey is way more important than the destination in some respects. But, man, this journey's been awesome with these guys.
The journey. It starts with the vision.
I'm here because we have the opportunity to go chase championships on the football field.
A plan to change everything you've ever known about hard work, drive, dedication, and then take it to the next level. It's not easy.
No!
You will fail, but failure is not the end. It is a chance to grow.
Every little thing matters.
And if you embrace the journey, after all the pain, all the trials, all the setbacks, you reach your destination. But guess what? It's not over. Instead, a new journey begins.
All right, so I guess I should fess up. I didn't even know what that was.
Yeah,
when it was played off the start. I guess that's new.
It's on Twitter. It's the Twitter. You gotta get back on Twitter.
I guess that's new.
I send you the link, but I don't think.
I thought that was still the one from last year when I heard it earlier.
That's a new one.
Okay, got it.
They asked me to do this series that they're doing. It's called The Juice. It's basically documenting the. It's basically their podcast
for the team. I didn't pay close attention to the first segment of the show today.
Did this dude just did this?
What? I can't wait to throw you off this balcony. I'm beefing with everybody.
No, I wasn't.
You, Babs, everybody.
It's not you.
Me and Team Buck.
I didn't tell him. I sprung it upon him.
Oh, that's all good.
I had no idea.
Because he was out kicking it last night, burning the town down at the Ryman. Weren't you?
That was a weird show, man. That was a weird
It's cool, though.
Who'd you go and see?
Bob Dylan.
Oh, that's right. It was
Bob
Dylan.
Dylan?
Yeah, I thought it was Dylan.
All right, cool.
You said you ran into a listener at the show.
Yeah, listener.
You did? Yeah.
I ran into James, and he was
Shout
just
out
like,
to James.
he comes up to me. I'm in the line, in the merch line, and he says, "Are you on the radio?" And I fought the snark in me to say, "Right now?"
Oh, see?
That would have been just, I mean.
Y'all petty as hell.
Yeah, you'd have played into the show. You'd have played into the show.
What are you talking about?
I choose violence.
Yeah, we just had ink, man.
I mean,
I didn't. I was like, no. I mean, I was a super cool interaction with him there, and like then I told Abby I should have said that, and she's like, no, you shouldn't. Don't be. She's like, don't be snarky. I was like, what? Don't be snarky.
Pipe down, baby. You heard the wife. Be cool, dog. That's basically what she said. Be cooler, dog.
I'll tell you who was snarky is CG when I rolled home at 10:20 and she's awake.
Thugging.
We do not care.
Looking at me in her sleep sack.
Like Tupac in the I Get Around video shoot, she just bouncing back and forth. She got around last night, didn't she?
It's a different life. Tyreek Hill got around. He went from Kansas City to Miami.
Yeah, he did.
Buck Rising, I'm sure, is going to have thoughts on that tomorrow. We haven't talked to this guy in a while because he kind of hadn't talked to many people.
Free agent out here, man.
Mike Golick Jr. is going to be on the show tomorrow. That's going to be fun because now he doesn't even have to hold back.
No. Oh, yeah, he has no boss right now, right?
That's right.
Hell yeah.
So Golick Jr. and Mike Keith tomorrow if you need us. We'll be here 6 to 10. We'll recap the Sweet 16 games tonight. Looking forward to those as well. So a lot going on. Enjoy the remainder of your beautiful Thursday. We'll talk to you on what's hopefully going to be a beautiful Friday. For Ramon Foster and Jonathan Schaefer, I'm Jason Martin. Bucky is next.
Let's go, everybody. Hey, enjoy this beautiful day. But remember, Twitter fingers and your mic is always hot.
Hashtag free Star V.
I can feel it all the way down in my plums.